electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on this show, from national headlines to things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define, Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on News Talk, STL.
School bus driver in a traffic jam, staring at the faces in a rearview mirror, looking at the promise of the promised land. One kid dreams of fame and fortune. One kid helps pay the rent. One could end up going to prison. One just might be president.
Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer.
Only in America.
Randy Tobler.
Dreaming in red, white, and blue.
On News Talk, STL.
Only in America. Where we dream as big as we want to.
And my message to all my friends and my enemies in America is happy Thanksgiving and stay deplorable, my friend.
Good morning. There's Senator John Kennedy with the message, the Thanksgiving greeting of the year. I think that takes the cake. Hope that you are out of your food coma this morning as we are live this morning. Well, as best we can be, right, Jerome, after the food coma. Are you doing okay, brother?
Oh, yeah, I'm still stuffed.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean you're a turkey. You're just stuffed. Okay, good. All right. Well, Jerome's there. I'm here, and I'm glad you guys are here as well. We've got a lot to talk about, of course. I've got a good Second Amendment story, by the way, that I want to bring. I think there's an interesting local story on the Second Amendment. So all of you who are legally inclined, you'll have to, and maybe Jerome will know the answer. There's an interesting story where a guy is suing the city because it's a story about guns and concealed, and can we carry a gun, and what is the city doing getting into our gun rights. We'll talk about that. Andrew Bailey wins a couple of big Missouri cases this week, and of course on the national scene, Trump's cabinet rounding out. We'll try to go through the highlights and maybe a couple of the lowlights on that. Speaking of maybe one of the lowlights, she's GOP, but she is, I'm not so sure. That is whether she's going to be a pro RightToWork nominee for Labor Secretary. Mark Mix joins us at 6:25. He's with the RightToWork Foundation and committee, and he'll talk with us about Trump's Labor Department nominee for Secretary of that very important cabinet position. Because if you're an employee or if you're an employer, you know that department has a lot to do to bear on, frankly, commerce and the success of the business and the success of workers by way of that business, and can be pretty stifling. We'll see what she has to say about that, or what Mark knows about that. He's been with us before. Always a great time with Mark. Of course, Virginia Kruta will be with us at 7:45. Todd Schowalter, you know him, of course. He'll be here to talk about some of the characters. He'll be having a ball with the characters in the cabinet and the various agency heads. So we'll talk about that, some of the hits and the misses. And then Dr. Carole Lieberman, as we do a postmortem on how everyone's Thanksgiving went. I'd like to hear from y'all, whether it's on the Rumble or the YouTube or the feed, the Facebook feed. How did your gathering go? Was there any tension? Was there any just go and curl up in a corner because everyone on the other side of the table is a lib and you just don't want to have that discussion and they're baiting you and trolling you? That couldn't be, could it? No, Jerome, those libs don't do that. They don't troll us, do they?
I think that they wish they could troll us, but as we all know, the left just cannot meme. They have no bantering skills. They just don't have a sense of humor, so it just comes off as insults almost.
Yeah, you're right. It does, and it comes off
vitriol. So
I'm
excited.
I'm excited
to
for one to
see
see
what
what
happens.
happens with the
There are,
cabinet.
of course,
There are, of course, some
personalities.
colorful personalities. We don't know whether everyone is going to make
and
it
be confirmed by
and
the
be
Senate.
confirmed by the
Pete
Senate.
Hegseth now
probably the most likely to be the next
of any
target
naysayers.
of any
Obviously,
naysayers. Now that Matt Gaetz
dropped out, I frankly am not
unhappy that Gaetz dropped out.
I think that it was a better move, and Pam Bondi will do a great job. We talked about that. But there will certainly be a lot of controversy. There'll be a lot of angst over the fact that we may even have, we've got Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. You can't predict what they're going to do. They're essentially, they define the term rhino, right? If you're going to use the word rhino, that would be the caricature that would be on your, on Todd Schowalter's easel. So we'll have to check with Todd and Carole Lieberman, as I said, to talk about the tension over the holidays. Hey, it's a reality, whether or not you have family tension, family disagreement. These are just these holiday times can be a little bit difficult, particularly if you had a loss. It's a time when maybe there's someone in the family that's passed during that time, or someone recently, and it can be really tough. So Carole is, of course, she's the terrorist therapist. We're going to talk to her about that. And some of the terrible news out of bomb threats and death threats against some of Trump's cabinet nominees and agency head nominees. Nominations. See what the profile of someone. Maybe if you're shopping at the store. I don't know about you, but I look around me these days. And Jerome, probably you do too. You grew up with terrorism, right? I mean, you're of the generation where it's sort of a normal thing. Yeah, I hate to say that, but it is. I grew up in a world where I never would have thought people randomly being blown away, stabbed, shot. Mass killings. That was unheard of before Columbine. And now we see it just routinely. So maybe she is a terrorist therapist. She's been a forensic expert, forensic psychiatrist in those venues. So she can tell us, A, what to look out for, and B, maybe not to be afraid of everyone that we're looking over our shoulder at. I don't know. When I'm out and about now, I've got situational awareness. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. That's something I really love about this state is how many of our politicians are pro 2A. They are, we have constitutional carry, so you can conceal carry without a license. I still would recommend getting classes to be in training and going to the range and finding some friends that are maybe a little bit better than you, so you can improve your skills.
Right.
To identify terrorists now, I think just look for dyed hair, a bunch of facial tattoos, facial piercings.
No more do they look like they came from Saudi Arabia or Iran or somewhere, Afghanistan.
I don't know.
And that's something when I consider sort of some of the issues that my generation has. I mean, people my age, like I remember exactly where I was watching 9/11 on the newscast as it was happening when I was, I think, like six or 7 years old. So going through that, and then we had the Boston Marathon bombing. Yeah. We had those like the shooting at the movie theaters. We've had the vehicle ramming attack that was in Nice, France.
Yeah.
So I think seeing all that stuff televised, and it's called the Columbine effect, with all these school shooters that go out there, and then the media gives them a whole lot of attention. That's why I try not to talk about them. I don't name them.
Right.
But there are people out there. It's just encouraging that behavior to these sick people, and I think that's why maybe my generation's a little bit more messed up than it should be, is because we're just shoved that on the news cycle all the time.
Well, and remember, I'll never forget that terrible shooting. And this was not a profile of a terrorist. The shooting in Las Vegas. Remember with that guy from? I forget what story he was on, but I mean, he just lit into a parking lot full of people. I think it was a music festival. And
it was a country music festival.
Yeah, just carnage like crazy. And that relates to stories. I know on my weekday show. I know here in St. Louis, morning shows and afternoon shows as well. Obviously, we talk about, and I occasionally, in my hits with the guys and gals, talk about
The
terrible, just random shootings that we see, and a lot of in North St. Louis and various places, near Ferguson and others, where that elderly gentleman that was killed several weeks ago. Remember, old guy lived. Where was it? In Jennings or Spanish Lake somewhere? Spanish Lake somewhere. It was terrible. I mean, the guy's been an elderly resident of the neighborhood for decades, almost his entire life. He's out mowing his grass, or picking up some leaves or whatever, and just a random drive-by shooting. I think about the way that the score is settled these days in many communities, and I think sadly, I think it's in a lot of some of the lower socioeconomic strata. That seems to be like not the last resort, but it's the first resort. I mean, I don't know whether it's over drugs or girls or whatever, but I mean, guys are just tearing guns out and start popping one another. It happened in downtown Columbia. After the Oklahoma victory a few weeks ago, right? I'm down in the heart of the city. After the bars had closed 2 o'clock-ish in the morning, young college women, there was a group of them that were banging on the door of restaurants, hoping they were open to let them in. We see it in St. Louis. We see it in all of the blue cities. I mean, it's just, and I think it's a cultural thing. I'm hoping as we think about Trump's world, his comments about common sense. You hear the word common sense out of him. Does anyone really think that it's common sense to pull out a gun and have that be the way you settle a score, the way you argue your argument, the way you defend your position, the way you try to persuade someone? I mean, I'm hoping that he's going to set the tone that we will have law and order. And I'm hoping with the Department of Education, as long as they last, that starts in the first grade, the kindergarten, the second grade, the fifth grade. If there's a scuffle, there have to be adults in the room that don't excuse away that behavior, but rather discipline it and redirect people.
Absolutely. And I think that all of this is, as much as it is tragic that people are killing each other over sometimes literally just social media, beef that they have with each other. It points to the lack of self-control and the anger issues, and that sort of, I'm going to be more powerful than you. I'm going to show everybody you can't mess with me. But again, going back into our two-way rights, I was doing some research because a lot of people are also afraid of the rise of mass shootings, and not to diminish them, but they are a very, very small percentage of gun-related homicides. But I was looking into it, and I'm not trying to encourage anybody to go out and be, to be Charles Bronson in Death Wish or anything like that. But so out of the 37 times that a privately carrying individual was present during a mass shooting event, 35 of the times they were actually listed as effective at either preventing the loss of life, meaning that somebody pulled their gun out and somebody noticed that and they took it out first, or in minimizing the amount of casualties after the rampage started. So 35 out of 37. And I looked into it after, I think it was the Indiana mall shooting, where the person waited in the bathroom, assembled their rifle, came out, and a guy who ignored a no gun zone sign and was privately concealed carrying, he immediately responded and ended the rampage within, I think, 5 seconds of the first shot. And I looked into that, and it's not illegal. They can ask you to leave, and if you don't leave, that's trespassing. So obviously, don't go out there open carrying somewhere that doesn't have, that says no guns. But I think that if we did more to be responsible for our own autonomy when it comes to our safety, because again, cops don't prevent crime, they respond to crime, and they're already being defunded, they're already being hated by the community. But also when it comes to youth, I think we really need to look at the way of how we are allowing not only youth to interact and get away with things, but also what are we doing that provides them an outlet so that when they feel these violent, angry urges, maybe they can go boxing, maybe they can go to jujitsu or karate, maybe they can go and work out instead of thinking it's a good idea to illegally get a gun and go kill whoever they're mad at.
Well, and along those lines, it's an interesting discussion point, talking about youth, and you bring up social media. I think it does put young people, well, heck, it puts all of us into an other world, right? It's a world that has very little to do with reality. You tend to see the filterized, is that a word? I don't know. You tend to see the filterized images, the reels of people doing amazing things. You see people's very best lives. And most of us don't have every moment of every day our very best lives, right? We're trying to just grind it out and put some food on the table and clothes on our back and a roof over our head and pay those ever increasing utility bills. Hope that's going to change too. But when you see that, and especially when you can't in your mind rationally continue to realize that and consciously and intentionally realize I am viewing entertainment here. Yeah, occasionally I'm checking in on my friend who moved to Oregon, and I get that. But I mean, a lot of it is it's idealized behavior. We begin to think that that's the goal. That is the only acceptable life, because after all, everyone else has that life. Why don't I have that life?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a young kid and you have no difference, and the world has told you, be all you can be. You're your own person. Whatever you want to do, you're the captain of your ship, even though you're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. There are no rules. The rules are the ones you set, and you have to just be an influencer. Make sure that you can be, just like the social media people. No wonder kids are confused, and no wonder they will, at some point in some settings, do whatever it takes to try to achieve that unattainable goal, the impossible dream, if you will, from the man from La Mancha. The man of La Mancha. The problem is, remember, that was all a pipe dream. He was fighting windmills. I wish that kids would fight those imaginary windmills and not one another. But let's talk about, when we come back, in that vein, Australia is making some moves on social media. Now, we saw what Australia did with their overreach. We're not going to do that. We're going to talk with Mark Mix when we come back. We will revisit this later, because I want to talk about Australia's ban on social media. Well, at least they intend to, for minors. An interesting experiment in sociology. When we come back, Labor Secretary incoming seems to be anything but a right to work gal. Let's talk with Mark Mix from the Right to Work Committee when we come back on the Randy Tobler Show. Stay tuned.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
You can take these facts. I know for a fact. It's just about time. It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that, and well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere, and we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery at all 3 Steph's Pizza locations. In Lake St. Louis at 111 Potterfort Trail, St. Peter's on Juggerman, and in St. Charles on Zumbel. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special: personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo inviting you to join my band along with Somebody to Love, tribute to Queen, for an awesome night of music Saturday, November 30th at Diamond Music Hall. Join us as we kick off the season of holiday cheer with my band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, a tribute to Duran Duran, and Somebody to Love, a tribute to Queen. Support live local music and join us for a great party Saturday, November 30th at Diamond Music Hall. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Get your tickets now at diamondmusichall.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. This is News Talk STL.
Welcome back into the program. It's 6:25. We're having a hard time getting in touch with Mark, and we will continue to try to reach him. I do want to talk to him about the incoming, well, if she's approved, and I assume she will be, the incoming labor secretary. An interesting choice. I mean, she's been known as being, Lori Chavez de Remer is her name. She lost her bid for reelection. And she's been more of an advocate of unions. And again, I have no problem in concept with unions. I really don't. My problem is the collusion of business, of government with unions. I think that relationships between employee groups and employers should absolutely be left, like everything else pretty much in the commerce realm, to individual and collective interactions. Let there be collective bargaining. It just shouldn't be forced on an employer by the government. If a group of people want to gather and get together and say, hey, you either, give us a 10% raise over 2 years, or we're going to all walk out tomorrow, they ought to be able to do that. I mean, that's fine. I think that a free market in labor would probably have made a difference in the in the inflation issue, because we know that the labor market, and especially when it comes to government hiring, and who led to more government hiring than if you look at it as a proportion of the government spend every year, it's the Obama and the Biden administrations, because they are all about growing government. If you look at the monthly employment statistics, perennially, it seems as though government at all levels hires and hires and hires and hires, because government grows and grows and grows. Well, when you have that being the case, and when you have shovel-ready projects, and the billions and billions given to 6 chargers for EVs, but that's an outlier. In a lot of cases, these government boondoggles, and that leads to this fair wage thing, where you have to do prevailing wage. You can be somewhere in outstate Missouri and have to pay St. Louis area labor rates when the cost of living is not the same there, for instance. And that goes on and on and on. So organized labor, I have nothing against organized labor. There's something to be said about standards that are maintained in union shops. The old apprentice and journeyman model, I think, ensures that when you hire someone from that kind of a tradition, that they're going to know what they're doing, and they're not going to give you anything but great work for the money paid. That said, I think unions can also protect mediocrity. Those of you who may be real high achievers, high productivity union workers know exactly what I mean. You know exactly what I mean. I've been in a union myself, and I know that sometimes the people really pulling the cart and going the extra mile don't see that gets rewarded to the same extent it would, because it tends to be a race to the mediocre. everyone at a certain seniority gets the same pay, for instance. And that, I'm not saying it's that simple, but that's a little bit of an outline of what can happen. At any rate, let's talk a little bit about the first in the world. This is very interesting. Did you see this, Jerome? We were talking about the influence of social media. And of course, it influences all ages. But Australian Parliament does the first in the world ban on social media for under 16s. This is the world's first law.
Wow.
It will make it'll make platforms including TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit. Well, Reddit, kids need to stay off Reddit because of the potty mouth that is just prolific on Reddit. I mean, oh my gosh, it's Reddit makes drunken sailors blush. It's unbelievable. X and Instagram liable for fines of up to 50 million Australian dollars. That's about 33 million US bucks for systemic failures to prevent children younger than 16 from holding accounts. Now, what is your first response to that?
Oh man, right off the bat, that seems like government overreach to me, even though in principle I agree definitely 100% there's no reason for anybody under the age of 16, 17, 18 to be on these sites. But the first thing that comes to mind is like the way you would have to enforce that is to require everybody to provide proof of identity to sign up for accounts.
You read my mind. That was my first response. It's like, you can pass a law. How are you going to enforce it? I mean, all you have to do is I've been online occasionally looking for a wine deal, or my local wine shop didn't have it. Oh, did they have it over here? And or can you get it mail order? You gotta press the button. I'm over 16 years old, or over 18 years old, right? Or over 21 years old. So I mean, really, I don't know how they're going to enforce it. I just don't know how they're going to enforce it. And how are you going? What's the mechanism? Are you going to have a whole new bureaucracy to be monitoring all of these sites and somehow giving them a ticket if they're not coming up with some way? I don't know. Would facial recognition, like turn on your front-facing webcam, whoever's signing up, and let me look at you and see if you look 16? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do this.
Like realistically, even if you were to do the whole take a photo of an identification card and submit that, what's to stop them from going into their parents' wallet and grabbing their driver's license or something of that nature? And I don't use Facebook right now because of that reason. I don't know what happened exactly, but my old account got retroactively banned for something I posted 5 years ago that wasn't an issue. Tried to make a new account with a new email, and it's asking me to provide two ways to verify that I am who I say I am. And I'm like, I'm not giving Mark Zuckerberg my information. Are you kidding me? I'm not. So that way you have my face, you have my location, you have all my data. Like, no, I don't. I think that the responsibility should be, if it was shifted to the parents instead of the social media platform, we might actually see something in a way, because again, like it's the parents' responsibility to be involved in their kids' life and know what they're doing and what's going on. And I know kids can be sneaky, but just, YouTube released the kids mode. So that way kids can access YouTube and watch content, but they can't make comments. They can't receive direct messages. Maybe we need something like that, where if you're not willing to verify it, you can still browse and all that stuff. But I don't know. I think the responsibility still falls to the parents.
Is there a common skill or a common, well, no, I guess with our failure of schools, I guess it would be hard to come up with some kind of a performance metric that you would, like a quiz, before you could, before you could enter one of these social media platforms, but what's the literacy rate? The latest report came out, the aggregate report from the Department of Education here in Missouri. We talked with Brenda Talent on my weekday program and from the Show Me Institute. And I mean, I think it's like less than, I think at the 8th grade level, less than 50%, if I'm not mistaken, in English literacy and in math are performing at expected grade levels, less than 50%. Okay. I mean, at the same time that spending has gone up and up. But I was thinking about something like, shouldn't all 16-year-olds be able to, say, divide, 90, 72 by 9, whatever. I mean, shouldn't they be able to do that? I don't know.
Yeah, list the quadratic formula.
Yeah, they'd have to get out their calculator, I guess. I don't know. But so these kind of things need to be thought out because we've got to come up with a way to try to keep these kids safe, right? But anyway, we'll see what happens. I got a feeling it's not going to go anywhere. This will be a 12-month implementation period to develop an approach that balances privacy, safety, and practicality, they say, this is from Snapchat. As always, Snap will comply with any applicable laws and regulations. So they said they would do that. Naturally, we respect the laws decided by the parliament, says Facebook and Instagram owner Meta Platforms. However, we're concerned about the process which rusts the legislation while failing to properly consider the evidence, what industry already does to ensure age-appropriate experiences and the voices of young people. Well, what are they doing now? How are they regulating this now, the platforms themselves? I don't understand.
Yeah, it really depends on the platform. I use a handful of different platforms for various reasons. Sometimes there are things that, like people talking about, homemade guns, because that's legal. You can be a gunsmith and make your own weapons as long as you don't sell them. And so I'm part of one of those communities, and there are people that we suspect. I mean, anybody that the moderators themselves of the group, if they suspect that you're under the age, they don't want people making guns and going and harming people with them. So they will kick you out, even if you are overage and you're just acting a little immature. The safeguard element, it's interesting because, again, social media is, it's almost like an extension in a way of what newspapers were. And that's where the whole First Amendment argument comes in. But again, if you're a minor, if you're under the age of consent, you're not a legal adult, technically speaking, you don't really have constitutional rights. You don't really have things of that nature. And I don't know. I think that it's going to be a very difficult way because, again, the argument could be made, well, if they're not able to send photos and not able to post photos of themselves, well, that's going to be less likely to attract, predatory people going after them. But then again, you still have to have some ways for us to lose our Fourth Amendment rights to privacy in order to verify we're not a kid. So maybe we should get our AI expert back on here, Mark McClary, sometime to talk about what he thinks, because he seems like he knows quite a bit about that.
I think it'd be a good idea. We'll get him on maybe next week and talk about this. Now, there's a couple of opposing viewpoints. One online safety campaigner named Sonia Ryan lost her 15-year-old daughter, was murdered by a 50-year-old pedophile who pretended to be a teenager online. And she described it as a monumental moment in protecting children from horrendous harms. It's too late for my daughter, Carly, she said, but let's stand together on behalf of other kids and embrace this together. Excuse me, Wayne Holdsworth, whose teenage son took his own life after falling victim to an online sextortion scam, advocated for the age restriction. Christopher Stone, however, the executive director of suicide prevention, said the legislation failed to consider positive aspects of social media in supporting young people's mental health and sense of connection. I don't know. This is the loneliest generation that I hear. I mean, they're just lonely kids in their beds, up till all hours of the night, looking at the screen and during all parts of the day. Another opposition group is the LGBTQI community. What is I?
I think that's intersex.
Oh, okay, whatever. The policy will hurt vulnerable young people the most, especially in regional communities, and especially the LGBTQI community, by cutting them off. Well, there's a thing called a phone. You make a phone call to someone. I don't know. I just can't you do on your phone? Can't you do phone messaging without being on a platform?
Well,
video messaging.
I think the argument there, though, is that there are communities where it's shunned, or you're not, that it's maybe in their mind not safe for them to be openly LGBT. So let's just use that because it's an easy one. So if you are able to go on the internet, you're a teenager that you might be ostracized by your peers and stuff like that. You can potentially meet other people that are part of the LGBT community to at least feel some sort of community. But I also think that that's the double-edged sword of it. Is the same reason people are lonely is because they're spending all their time on social media, watching people living better lives than them, better looking than them, more engagement. But then at the same time, that's just reinforcing, is it the chicken or the egg at this point?
That's right. No, absolutely. You're right. I mean, that's a very good point. And is it only going to become a spiral of hostility or perceived hostility, victimhood, that sense of overwhelming the world's against me? I mean, I look at what happened in the wake of this election. I mean, there were some people and among friends sort of jabbing one another if they were on if you had a friend who was on the Kamala side. But I was especially careful not to spike the ball after this election. I don't think most Americans are going around doing that. I think there's like, hey, let's give the guy a try. Admittedly, I have my problems with the guy, in terms of some of his personal behavior. And in the past, I mean, I think he's been a little bit, over the top with some of the personalization and the name calling and stuff. But all that aside, let's give him a try. And there's another election up the road. Let's see what happens. And yet there are people online. We've played some of it, Jerome. I mean, people have seen it virally with people screaming like banshees at the top of their lungs. They're driving down the street doing their selfie video, like just absolutely crazy. LGBTQ people saying they don't feel safe. What does that mean? Does that mean, do you really think I'm going to come in your home and arrest you and drag you into jail and put a handcuff? No, what do you mean not going to feel safe? I've never assaulted or anything like that, or had any rounded up anyone, or had any concept of that. I just don't want them preaching that lifestyle, that conversion gospel, their own version of the gospel, to young people, that's somehow a normative behavior. That's all I'm asking. I wouldn't want them preaching that a heterosexual porn star coming into the school and teaching that's okay. That's where I worry about the social media and the so-called safe space for these people, because it sort of reinforces the behavior and the perception that I think is delusional. People aren't out to get these people at all.
Well, and that's so. Again, I don't want to act like I'm an expert on this, but I do have friends that are trans and gay and whatever else you want to call them, and I also have friends that are what are called super straight, and that's that's like the exact opposite, the polar opposite. But you are absolutely correct. The people that are posting these videos, they unironically, legitimately have been conditioned. And again, a lot of it comes from the social media hive minds that they join. That if I say I don't want a child to be exposed to LGBT identity stuff before they're even able to understand what they themselves are, and we don't want them to go on puberty blockers and do all this stuff that might not even address the cause of the mental anguish they're experiencing. That to them has been conditioned into the brain that's a dog whistle. That's just how we codify to talk secretly, openly about attacking and removing their rights and putting them whatever the horrible Nazi 1930s scenario that they believe. And they believe it. And when you try to tell them no, that's not the case, again, they go back to the media talking about, well, Project 2025 this, and here's the rhetoric between this old dictator and the current guy, and here's the most extreme example of the farthest right angry guy that's ever done anything bad, and this is who everybody is. So I really think that the people that are waking up are the moderates that haven't had those claws shoved into them yet, but there is a very large percentage of people that are stuck in these internet spaces that they just can't be helped. You can't reason with them. You can't offer an olive branch.
No,
it's just
that's right. And you know what? It took me way too long to learn that. I've always thought, I mean, I think in America, it's been a tradition that, I have an opinion and you have a different opinion, man, let's have a nice, robust, even maybe even pounding our hands on the desktop discussion. Let's do that. But let's not call each other, you're a non-human being. You're some kind of a lower than scum, biological creature. And that's where I think it's been sad that we've gotten into that. But you're right. What you end up getting into is the notion that you just cannot in any way, shape, or form try to convince these people. And I think part of it, Jerome, has to do with the fact that they have lost their mouthpiece. They have lost the default, hey, I control the media, and the media controls everyone's thoughts, and therefore I can control thoughts, even though I'm on a fringe left. When we come back, we're going to prove that to you. And thank God on CNN, there's a clear and present danger to the CNN and the other left-wing media. And Scott Jennings told them so. We'll talk about that when we come back. Stay tuned.
You better start from the start. You wanna be in the show? Come on, baby, let's go!
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the News Talk STL app
And listen anytime,
anywhere.
Getting new flooring can be exciting, or it can be a hassle. To make sure you have a great experience, use Michael's Flooring, like I did. Hi, it's Susie Moore, and Michael's Flooring has become my go-to for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, natural stone, luxury vinyl, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring is ready to help. 3 locations to pick from: St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloor.com. That's igotfloor.com.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, Colombo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Honesty, integrity, humility, purpose. We're looking for people that share these values. As an officer in the Springfield, Missouri Police Department, you'll train in a state-of-the-art facility, learn special skills, and most importantly, learn that being humble through it all builds a better community. Our next training academy starts soon. Work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft, and I promise you'll have some amazing opportunities. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res in November and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
Welcome back into the program here on News Talk STL 1019 94.1. We are so glad you're with us. Hope that you are shaking off the food coma that may have lasted over a day. I mean, I think many probably woke up maybe to see the Chiefs hang on for another one. It's a shame we don't have a football team here anymore. Man, I remember I was there in the stadium on the golden years of the Rams when they won the Super Bowl back in 2000. What a fabulous team that was. The greatest show on turf. Remember that, folks? And I don't know. Now we've got the Blues, and they've not been doing too well. I guess soccer seems to be the sport of the day here in the area that has any chance of some success. Blues really collapsed after their Stanley Cup victory a few years ago. I don't know. They just really went south. But if you're up and about and with us, we appreciate that. We're talking a little bit about the hysteria on the left and the fear and the expression of, DeGeneres is leaving. Oh my gosh, it's all existentially going to hell in a handbasket. I'm leaving this. Well, good. I wish you well. I truly do wish those people well. I think their voices have become non-constructive in this America. We need to get back on a track where we recognize common lanes of law and order, sovereignty of our borders, an economic policy that makes sense. And, anyone that really has a serious problem and thinks we just need to blow this Constitution up and start over in a progressive way, well, I don't know. That's already being done over across the pond. So God love you. God love you, and I wish you well. But I think also, Jerome, what we've witnessed is with Elon Musk purchasing X, it's interesting how we played the clip, I think, last week, where if you look at the number, the people now using and posting in terms of their identification, it's about even Democrat, Republican now. Whereas before that, when it was Twitter, it was way heavily overloaded on the Democrat side. And I don't think the left can stand it that suddenly the other side has a voice, because they just controlled the conversation for way too long.
Yeah, I mean, the government was quite literally shadow banning and sometimes openly targeting and banning right-leaning accounts, including meme accounts, including like politicians that weren't even federal level. And now what we saw was there was this huge migration, people deleting their accounts or saying, I'm leaving X and trying to go to Blue Cry, or more known as Blue Sky. And they saw 42 times the amount of bans in a single day than they had in any other previous time. People are mass reporting things that are not even like against the terms of service. It's just offensive to them. And now that they don't have all the attention that they had on X, a lot of them, they put the link in their bio, but they're coming right back to X because they're not getting the attention that they crave.
Yeah, Blue Sky is going to go the way of Air America. For any of you that remember the Air America, I don't know if you remember that, Jerome. I think that was a late 90s, early 2000s things. I mean, it was going to be the left wing answer to Fox and Rush Limbaugh. It crashed and burned just like Wounded Duck Airlines, Air America did.
Good.
Well, now there's another threat to the left and to their censoring, cancel culture, unilocular message. And Scott Jennings, thank God for Scott, on CNN, there was a panel discussion about the speculation that is Elon Musk, since Comcast is spinning off MSNBC, perhaps would he buy that? Well, here's what Scott said to the gathered.
The left has gotten so used to controlling almost all institutional information distribution arms in this country that when one little piece of it, whether it's X or MSNBC or anything else, gets taken away, the panic is so outrageous. I mean, that's how used to the left is having control of all of it.
While we were unhappy, and righteously so, saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not right. You guys can have your voice, but don't shut ours off. That's not American. And anyone who claims it is, I don't care whether you think that it's totally wrong, whether it's un-American. Well, you're wrong too. It's un-American to cancel someone because you disagree with them. And now that they're losing that voice, they are apoplectic. Now, look at what Allison says. Very nice comment, Allison. I was not happy when Obama and Biden were elected, but never lost my mind over it. That's exactly it. That's the truth. That's the truth.
And that's really what I think it should be is, the people calling us, fascist and Nazis and all these other horrible names. I don't think any of us, even if it's speech that we fundamentally disagree with, speech that we think is meant to be offensive towards us, are calling for censorship. At the moment that it's like, hey, I have a differing opinion, that is problematic. And I think that is a great comment as well, because it shows I would not have been happy if Kalima if Kalima had won. But at the same time, I'm not, you will never see me sitting here posting a freak out, crying, the world is over, all hope is lost sort of thing. I would have probably gone the direction of let's start stocking up on food. Let's start investing in some metals and get some more ammo. But yeah, I think that fundamentally shows that the mental fortitude that we as conservatives have, that liberals just don't have that sort of that character and that strength of mind.
Yeah, you're so right. And you make another good point. When we on the right saw adversity coming down from various policies, I saw it in the healthcare sector when Obama was elected. We've seen it with the gun control surge. Every time the left is in power and there's some horrific event, and you see the
Hey, Doc, I think your mic might have got disconnected. We can't hear you. But yeah, no, I think it's very interesting. If when you get you might need to reset your mic. You might need to reset your mic, Doc. But just to kind of play off that real quick. Yeah, I grew up in a time, again, I was very young when 9/11 was happening. We didn't fully understand what was going on, but at the time, There you are. But yeah, social
There we go.
media and the way we communicate now is just so fundamentally different. But it sounds like we got you back there, Doc.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. We had a little. Isn't that interesting? Now, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Yes.
Here we are talking about control, and I start railing about the left and cancel culture and how Obama got into healthcare and how we were having to plan and make alternate, plans for different ways of delivering healthcare.
It's Biden. They're coming after us.
And I'm just wondering, before he gets out of office, Biden is trying to throw all kinds of money towards Ukraine. He's okay if the borders are open. He's doing all kind of things he can in these last, what are we down to now? 50 days? I don't know. Like it can't come soon enough, frankly. But you're right. I mean, look, and that's an interesting sidebar question. At the time that Obama was elected, and periodically through that, especially the first administration, I have to admit, I did stock up on prepper supplies. And I have a fair amount of food in my basement in the freeze-dried form. And I'm wondering, that stuff is alleged to last, 20, 25 years? I told my wife the other night, boy, you should have seen her bristle. Because, she's a culinary gal and loves to cook fresh, whole food from the ground, none of this processed stuff. And I said, honey, why don't we break out some of that food and just make sure it's still good? Because you never know. I mean, she was like, she was going to have none of it. None of it. Have you ever tried any of that stuff? I've never even broken open one package. Have you?
My stepdad was in the Army, so I got to try some, I think they're called the MREs or whatever those are. Yeah. And some of them are tolerable, and some of them I can't believe we're giving to humans. But yeah, I've had freeze-dried candy. It's pretty good. But
really,
yeah, I had a friend of mine back when I lived in Kentucky. And his family was huge preppers, and like we have everything we need. We're going to survive and all that stuff. And he was showing me his little like basement shelter, which wasn't even really sealed up enough, in my opinion, to prevent radon or anything. But yeah, his food, a lot of it was expired. I'm like, I'm sure it's probably okay to kind of eat, but this is not going to taste good. And this is like expired back in like the early 2000s. How long do you think you're going to last?
Well, I guess in a pinch, if the alternative was, empty shelves at the grocery store and, what are you going to do? Go out and eat the grass? I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to try it. She's not going to know it. I will try it sometime when she's away visiting the grandkids or something. I'm just going to break one out, and I'll have some backup though. I'll have a backup. Hey, let's cut here, and we'll come back and talk more about the goings on of the day, Bibi Netanyahu and others. Stay tuned for more on the Tobler Show.
Destroyer on News Talk STL. What happens next?
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted.
Happens right here.
My entire administration worked with his team to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let Sievers JCB create a custom purchasing plan for your year-end equipment needs and maximize your tax savings. Whether you need 0% financing for up to 60 months, generous cash incentives up to $9,000, or extended warranties for up to 5 years, Sievers JCB can tailor a plan to fit your fleet needs and budget. Programs are available on a wide range of products, including track loaders, excavators, wheel loaders, and more. Call, stop by, or check them out online at SieversJCB.com.
How are the trees, shrubs, bushes, and all of your other valuable outdoor assets doing at your home or business? Tim Jones here to remind you that Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for all your tree care needs and so much more. From top-notch tree services to outstanding organic mulch, green resource recycling, grinding and land clearing, and more, let Hanson's team of expert insured arborists take care of your yard so it looks the best it can be as we head towards fall. Get a free quote, book an appointment today at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out, our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area. And I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way. And right now, it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. For the Wallner home selling team.
HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. In the nation of Georgia, thousands of demonstrators protested that government's decision to suspend negotiations for joining the European Union.
There was a huge crowd of anti-government protesters here. The riot police have managed to disperse them, push them away from here. But the bangs you can hear are fireworks that protesters down the road are still lobbing at the police lines. They're also trying to build barricades down there. So there's still a standoff going on. A lot of anger here. Mostly young people amongst the protesters were telling me they believe Georgia is a European country. It should have a European future.
That report from the BBC's Steve Rosenberg. Black Friday giving way to a white weekend in parts of New York State. Erie County, New York County Executive Mike Palonkart says motorists need to prepare for the worst.
Make sure your car is fully outfitted with an emergency kit. That means you have everything that you need in case you should happen to get stuck alongside of the road.
The first big snow of the season has the potential to bury towns along Lakes Erie and Ontario during what's expected to be a hectic holiday travel and shopping weekend. Forecasters warn 4 to 6 feet of blowing and drifting snow could fall in Watertown and other areas east of Lake Ontario through Monday. The nation's biggest pro-business group says looking ahead to the midterm elections, it's switching its focus from knocking on doors, as it did this year, to climbing the steps of Capitol Hill.
The best thing we can do for 2026 right now is what we have planned for 2025, and that is to score important policy victories that we're going to be proud to be a part of.
Akash Chogali with Americans for Prosperity says the key to a conservative victory in 2026 will be passing policies that bolster the U.S. economy. In the meantime, he spoke with the Salem Radio Network. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Life takes a toll on our bodies. No way around it. Whether it's sitting hours on end at your computer or working a physical job, over time your body pays the price. There is, however, an effective way to turn back the clock on pain, Relief Factor. Developed by doctors, Relief Factor helps support your body's response to inflammation. The difference? Instead of masking pain, Relief Factor helps eliminate it for good. And it's 100% drug-free. If the pains that come with living a full life are affecting you, do as so many others have. Turn back the clock on pain with Relief Factor. Their 3-week quick start is just $19.95, less than $1 a day. When you feel good, it's amazing how much more you get out of life. So visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. Try it for only $19.95. While we can't stop aging, not yet, we can stop pain. Turn back the clock with Relief Factor.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Piccadilly Palace, located in Union, Missouri. The ultimate family fun center is Piccadilly Palace. Call 314-860-6418 or visit piccadillypalace.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Ready to soar beyond your limits? The U.S. Air Force and Space Force offer more than just a job. It's a launch pad for your future. With over 200 career paths, competitive pay, benefits, free education, 30 days paid vacation, and a chance to travel the globe, all while serving your country with pride. Your journey starts here. Call Jeremy Jefferson in St. Louis at 314-295-6834 or visit airforce.com and spaceforce.com today.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday on the Allman Report, all the crazy, nutty stuff from around the weekend. You're going to love it. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
Well, welcome back into the program. Hope that the kickoff weekend to your holidays is going very, very well, and that you're getting all of the decorations up and not straining your back like I did yesterday. Jerome, my wife, we're all the kids are going to be here for, I don't know, a little longer than usual. Well, one of them will be with her family because Sammy, our youngest, is going to be delivering here in the next week or two or three, depending on how things go.
Congratulations.
And yeah, thanks. And so, but you know how, I hope she's not listening now, but I think guys that are listening, and maybe gals too, who are out there, maybe some guys are like this, but in my life, it's been something about the Christmas season. There's a switch that goes off. And sometimes this hallmarky diagnostic problem called the Hallmark syndrome takes over. And get a little manic about Christmas. Now, it's all nice when it's all done, but I mean, it starts a couple weeks before. You can just feel it escalating. And the totes start coming out from all over. I'm like, honey, let me help you with that. No, I got it. And then it culminates usually when we go to the Christmas tree lot. And there's a beautiful Lloyd's family farm near us. A beautiful job of growing and getting Christmas trees. So we had a little bit of a Griswold moment yesterday. Helene decides that, we went to get the tree, and I'm like, honey, well, this 6.5, 7 footer looks good. Oh, no. The kids are going to be here. It's an extra special one because they're going to be here longer than usual and, spend. So we get it home. I said, hon, it's going to block the view of the television from the sofa that everyone likes. No, not a problem. I take the netting off the tree, and it was like that Griswold moment. It wasn't quite that bad. But so I'm up on a ladder. I mean, normally I don't have to get up on a ladder to put, the lights all the way to the top. Or if I do, it's just a little step stool, I'm on a 6-foot ladder, dude, last night at 10:30. I guess it was 9:30, finishing up the lights, And it's going to be the most stupendous Hallmarky Christmas ever. The problem is, while she looks like the Hallmark gals, my wife, beautiful, gorgeous woman, much better than I would ever deserve, and much smarter and more, she's got a work ethic unbelievable. She just, everything is great. I'm not Biff on Hallmark. Let's just put it that way. So everything is Hallmark about our about our Christmas, except for Randy. I don't know, but so there is aspirational time this time of year, but there's also some aspirations gone south in governance, and one of those is Joe Biden's incessant urge to continue to double down on the Obama pro-Iran stance. At the very moment that Joe Biden was beginning to support a little bit more of the Israeli effort to fight a war on 5, 6, 7 fronts, if you start counting them up, and really winning the day in Hezbollah. They took out the military leaders, the political leaders. I mean, they were just crushing Hezbollah. Suddenly, we come up with this out of the blue, a ceasefire on Wednesday. Now, the Trumpanistas are saying, and the pro-Trump people are saying, well, that's because the new sheriff's coming in town, and Hezbollah is standing down, and they're going to continue to obey by any ceasefire group. But others are saying that no. Ted Cruz, prominent among them, that he's, quote, deeply disturbed by reports that Obama-Biden officials exerted enormous pressure on allies to accept this ceasefire. Well, how did they do that? Bibi Netanyahu pretty much said it. I mean, it really wasn't between the lines. Take a listen to just the beginning of a long speech that he gave to the Israeli citizenry the other day after the ceasefire was signed, when he explained the 3 reasons, and we'll just hear the first couple of them as to why it was signed. Listen carefully, and you'll hear exactly why Israel backed down, and suddenly, when they were on the verge of taking over and conquering southern Lebanon, putting Hezbollah down before retreating back into Israel. Listen.
So why doing ceasefire now? There are 3 main reasons. First, focusing on the Iranian threat. And I will not expand on that. 2, refreshing the military forces and our equipment. And I'm telling you, as it's not a secret, there's been delays in bringing more weapons and arms. And this delay will finish soon. We will have advanced weaponry that will give us more power to finish our goals. And the 3rd reason for ceasefire, detaching the front of the war from Hamas.
Okay.
From the second war.
There you go. If you heard it, if you listen carefully, you heard we have basically been short of advanced weapons, but that will change soon. This ceasefire will extend a week past Donald Trump's inauguration. Even though they're denying it on the Fox News report, Obama administration officials are saying that this envoy, the U.S. envoy, Amos Hochstein, who negotiated this deal, and others, that they say there had nothing to do with pressure on Israel, saying and threatening an arms embargo, essentially. But after the UN Security Council, basically accused and voted that Israel committing genocide, suddenly other European countries stopped sending arms. Britain continued to, but recently Biden, gave them a few and gave a little more material support. But there are reports floating out there that Biden said, we're going to stop the arms flow to you. So stand down, sign a ceasefire. And you heard what Bibi said. I mean, he said, look, we're running out of arms, but that's going to change soon. I wonder what that soon is, Jerome. You think that's like maybe the day after Christmas? I don't think so. I think that soon is the day after inauguration.
Yeah, and Danny and I were talking about this in the Next Gen, and we share or I guess we have the dissenting opinion on some of this. But if you look at a lot of the cabinet picks, what their views on Israel is, it's a lot of rhetoric of giving them anything they need unconditionally, so that they can complete their mission and end the war. Which, for me personally, I find a little bit disappointing, because I was hoping it would be more of a let's find another Abraham's Accord, or find some way to, other than mass destruction potentially, bring an end to the conflict. But yeah, I think that once he signs that papers, and once we swear him into office, I think that we're going to see a overhaul from Israel and an overwhelming display of force that's going to let Iran know that they're not going to be funding any of these proxy groups to go after Israel anytime soon.
Well, and look, I think all of us would like to avoid foreign entanglement. However, if we, through, I think by all objective measures, is support by all objective measures, the only bastion of any kind of sensible, civilized, democratic rule in that part of the world. We've seen how standing down and appeasement has only led to chaos and to escalation and to potentially a world war. I mean, it's bad. It's ugly over there now.
Oh yeah, I mean, they pretty much have to finish the job at this point, because I don't think we can get this far and have the wars and the battles and the carnage go on this long and have them expect that Iran and the other groups are just going to forget and forgive.
Right. And I mean, Trump has a lot of cleanup work to do. He started it in the first administration to walk back the stupid, Paris Accord with the, letting Iran get away with their nuclear development. Well, nothing going on right now, but 15 years down the road, they'll be fully nuclear equipped. Well, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, how is that to anyone's advantage? Yeah, Carrie, you'll be dead by then. What about your kids and your grandkids? You want a nuclear armed Iran? Hello? When they want to have world destruction, they will be awarded by virgins up in paradise, right? If they do that, right? That's all great. So it's a peace through strength by proxy, by way of Israel. I think that's what we're going to get through the Trump administration, just like we saw in the first time. I mean, when Syria was using gas, I mean, he sent in, bingo. I mean, he sent in a swift strike force. They were gone. And it sent a clear message. Don't mess with the United States and don't mess with our partners. I mean, what would have happened if Trump would have been in office when Putin was amassing forces around the Ukrainian-Russian border? And, would Trump have said, well, a minor incursion? Oh, well, what does that mean? Hell no. There would have been none of that. I don't think we would have been in this mess we're in Ukraine now. Speaking of which, Vladimir Zelensky is saying that he's now talking about potentially a peace deal that would involve the occupied territories of Russia, of Ukraine, that are occupied by Russia, staying Russian for now, and with the promise, in other words, he's willing to sit down now with the promise of a NATO guarantee of security and defense of what remains of Ukraine, essentially saying in the same breath that, hey, this will just be a pause. Eventually, with NATO at our back, NATO will be fighting our battle for us to reclaim Crimea and those captured territories. That is a non-starter from where I stand. I don't think anyone wants to see that, to where NATO is going to suddenly become a part of the fighting force for Zelensky. I don't see that happening. However, he does show interest in having a peaceful settlement, because it's being reported that Russia is gaining territory at a pretty fevered pitch now, from west to east. And I think that the Ukrainian forces are being decimated, and it's not long before more and more of Ukraine collapses.
Yeah, this whole situation, ever since North Korea got involved, it's really been very quickly escalating. And that's where, on the one hand, I'm really disappointed that the Biden administration, because I don't believe it was Biden himself, he's probably on a beach eating ice cream right now, but that in the last 2 months, they know Trump is trying very hard to do what he can do to have a peace strategy when he's able to take office. And they have less than 2 months to go, and they say, okay, go ahead and start launching long-range missiles into Russia, knowing that Putin has already issued statements saying that if you guys start striking Russian territory, then we will use that as a justification to not only nuke you guys, but anybody else that's been supplying arms to you. And then I have seen calls from the EU saying that they need to start arming Ukraine with nuclear weapons. And it seems like they're trying to poison the well and scorch the earth before they leave office.
Well, but this was, again, if you look back in history and you see how history's mistakes with weakness and these negotiating with terrorist regimes, that never works out well. And previous administrations have done that. Bill Clinton gave the green light for North Korea back in the 90s to develop nuclear technology. We should have kept our boot on their neck and said, no, not going to happen. Oh, well, they need it for energy, for peaceful. Come on, what are you talking about? People are crazy and they're tyrants, right? Okay, what happened to Ukraine? In return for the promise that we would then defend them. Why the heck did we do that? Let them defend themselves with their own nukes. Fine. You guys have at it over there in Europe. And now we're seeing with a position of weakness, having to fight a conventional war, overwhelmed by the much stronger, much heavier, and much more staffed Russian military. Now they've had a lot of decimation of their forces, but you can't think that Ukraine is going to be able to survive and withstand, the long-term game. And if America wouldn't have convinced Ukraine to give up their nukes in return for our protection, there you go. That's where it leads. Well, there's a new sheriff in town abroad, and on the international scene, people are responding. When we come back, we'll talk about a visit to Mar-a-Lago by the Canadian Prime Minister, and what's going on at the southern border and in our domestic law and order policy, because there is a new sheriff coming to town. And we'll talk about that when we come back on the show. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL it is. I'm glad you're here with us. We have a lot of viewers on Facebook and on Rumble and on YouTube this morning. Thanks for being here. We will be back in just a moment. We'll talk about people reacting before he gets inaugurated. Wow. Great day in America.
Smell of shrimp, they're beginning to boil. Wasting away again in Margarita.
Cabinet hopefuls are not the only ones making pilgrimages to Mar-a-Lago.
A new beginning.
You cannot deny that there's almost like this weight that's been lifted.
And fresh perspective.
I think Donald Trump has a strong mandate.
China's President Xi Jinping said that he is ready to work with the incoming administration.
Doesn't guarantee a happy ending.
Prosecutors said consideration must be given to potentially freezing the case.
What happens next?
Until after he gets out of office.
Happens here. 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Well, I saw that Dr. Daniel Cusimano, of course, of Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles fame, had a birthday last week. We wish him a happy birthday. And Megan Dwyer, his partner, and he do a great job there. I'm telling you, those people, as young as they are so energetic, so precise, so advanced, so just influential in my dental care. I hope that you'll experience the influence on your dental health as well. There's two reasons, I think, to see them. One is just for your overall health and welfare and well-being. Part of making America healthy again is making America's gums and oral health better again, because that has a lot to do with your overall health and your inflammatory status. We talk a lot about that in the practice. They will make sure that those basics are covered when you see them, and you'll get the why and the how of great dental care there. The other is take a look this holiday season and just focus on the people you like watching on TV. And look who has the prettier teeth and who doesn't have the prettier teeth. I mean, it influences your interactions with people. It influences perhaps your job search, or maybe you want a promotion. Listen, it makes a difference. They have exceptionally high standards, whether it is for cosmetics or for good oral medical oriented health. Take a look at all of the great things they do at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Website's advanceddentistrynow.com. That's advanceddentistrynow.com. I'm going to be going to see them this week. Can't wait to go see. And I know they got some great technology, some new stuff. We're going to be talking with them in a couple of weeks here on the program about that and covering all these bases. It's advanceddentistrynow.com, Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
If you haven't been to Lit Cigar Lounge in the district at Chesterfield, you're missing a great experience. Premium cigars, drinks, spacious seating, TVs in every direction. This and more explain why Lit was voted Best Cigar Lounge 2 years in a row. Now you can be at Lit and order Napoli Brothers pizza and pasta delivered to you. In fact, Napoli's just a few doors down. A coal-fired oven giving a unique taste. Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta, now open in the Chesterfield district.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now during our Black Friday sale, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery when you add a base. And Cyber Monday. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com. Don't miss out on Black Friday sales live now through November 30th.
Hi, Ken Williams here. Looking to transform your outdoor space? Call Don the Nightlight Guy. Since 1989, Outdoor Decor has been illuminating St. Louis homes from landscapes to decks, patios to architectural features. Don does it all. Incandescent to LED, water features, path lighting. Don's got you covered. Mention Newstalk STL and get a whopping $250 off any order over $3,000. Don Telgi, the Nightlight Guy at 636-697-2311. 636-697-2311.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com.
When you cast your eyes upon the skylines of this once proud nation, can you sense the fear and the hatred growing in the hearts of its population? Now youth, oh youth, are being
Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli. Come hang out with Ken Williams and me every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. But right now, it's back to the Randy Tobler Show on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Thank you, Vic. Great to hear Vic's voice, and we love listening to Vic and Ken, of course, every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. And before them, Mike Ferguson and Gabe and Stell and the crew. And in the afternoons, it just keeps rolling along. Columbo and friends, and Tony does a great job there, along with, then we have, of course, Tim and Chris. That's always a barrel of monkeys when I get together with them. Get the challenging medical questions. It's always fun. Hey, I don't recall seeing, by the way, we're going to be talking with Virginia Kruta at 7:45. And then at 8:06, Todd Schowalter is going to join us. And I think he'll bring some humorous aspects to the cabinet picks. I think there's a lot of fodder there for Todd. I can't wait to talk to him about that. We'll have some fun with that. And then wrap it up with Carole Lieberman to talk about, being on the lookout for holiday violence, which I think we probably will see in the wake of this election. There are always crazy people out there. They will always act out. In the first segment, we talked about that, how we seem to be a violence first and discussion and debate second culture these days. But I don't recall seeing, maybe I'm wrong. You correct me if I'm wrong, guys, at 314-912-1019. Welcome to come into the show and be part of this conversation, of course. But I don't recall a transition where there have been so much bending of the knee and so much reaction and actual behavioral change before a president-elect is inaugurated. I just don't recall it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my memory escapes me. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I heard an excellent quote from two different people I watch online that are big Trump guys, and they said the feeling right now is that you've been acting up as a nation. We've all, we're the kid that's been acting up all day, and now we know daddy's coming home and he's got the belt ready for us. So I think people are trying to get their act together to prepare for that.
Oh, yeah. Sean says that's a good looking dog. Hey, come here. I'll show you my dog here. This is Simba, the wonder dog. He's a pit bull, German Shepherd, boxer, and Labrador Retriever mix. And he's a little bit sight impaired. And he's missing his buddy, our pit bull boxer mix. We had to put her down last Friday, so I'm just recovering emotionally from that. That's a tough thing when you got to put a dog down, And she was the alpha dog, really, and he was sort of the puppy and following. But he's coming around. He's doing okay. But thanks for the nice comment there, Sean. Okay, so look, all of a sudden, okay, we know that Trump was elected largely. I think the economy was on people's minds, no doubt. And I think that was neck and neck with the immigration problem. The Lake and Riley trial really brought to light why and just how important that was, right? I mean, yeah, it occurred after the fact, but I think it really was a very, unfortunately, tragically graphic representation of exactly why Americans were hot and just bothered with this open border policy. So Trump says to the Canadian Prime Minister and to Claudia Sheinbaum down in Mexico, hey, this is not going to happen anymore. You're not going to let people come through and drug traffic, people traffic, sex traffic, youth traffic. We're not going to let that happen anymore. And you guys are complicit with this. You're aiding and abetting this. So there's going to be a 25% tariff. This is the way he uses tariffs. I don't believe that he really believes. He's a businessman. I don't think he really believes that punishing Americans with higher prices is the way to go long-term for the economy. It's a bargaining tool for him. And frankly, I don't know about y'all, but I'm willing to bear the pain for short-term if he has to implement them and actually show that he means business. But in the wake of that, he has a call with Claudia Sheinbaum down there, and oh my! Now suddenly we're going to talk about maybe we'll do some policing of the caravans. And guess whose jet flies into Mar-a-Lago yesterday? Listen.
Donald Trump, when he makes statements like that, he plans on carrying them out. There's no question about it. Our responsibility is to point out that in this way, he would be actually not just harming Canadians who work so well with the United States, he'd actually be raising prices for American citizens as well and hurting American industry and businesses.
Wow. Okay, so Justin Trudeau tries to make it sound like, well, Trump wouldn't really do that to hurt American citizens, but he can. That was basically an appeal to try to get Americans to call down and tell Donald Trump to stand down. He's not going to do that. Instead, Justin Trudeau shows up at Mar-a-Lago, and they have a little meeting. I wonder how that meeting went. I wonder what went on there. I think Trump made it clear that he fully intends to implement those tariffs. Because the northern, we haven't heard much about the northern border, but it is not an airtight border by any means.
Yeah, and I think people don't fully acknowledge the consumer power that the United States has on the global level. So when people are sitting there and they're trying to mock tariffs, which have historically actually worked in a lot of instances for our nation's benefit, they're looking at it as like, oh, it's just going to raise prices and everything. I saw somebody complaining that Starbucks, of all things, was going to get more. The overpriced sugar coffee water of Starbucks was going to skyrocket. Like, you can't just get Folgers, but that is why these tariffs are potentially a very good idea for our neighboring nations, because it's either you're going to see a drastic decline in U.S. money flowing into your country and businesses doing business with you, or you're going to help us secure our borders and protect our people from all the chaos that you guys are allowing flood into here.
Yeah. Well, remember what he did with the dairy farmers? He brought the dairy prices up because we were dying with some of the Canadian tariffs and duties on dairy products and on other things going up there and other products. So he used that to level the playing field in his first term. And I think whether it is in the interest of pursuing strong borders and some help with policing on the other side of the borders, or whether it is just purely economical, basically to say, look, if you guys are going to put a tariff on American goods, we're fine. Those are the rules you want to play by. No problem. You can play by those rules, or as a bargaining chip. So I think that's good to see. Look, think about it. First, it was Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, and now Mark Zuckerberg was down there the other day. I mean, Zuckerberg, the guy that took him off Facebook in 21, suddenly he wants to be a part of America's healing and the new reform in America. Wow, holy cow! I think people are frightened of what could be coming their way if they don't bend a knee to Trump. Now, we have to be careful that Trump doesn't get some kind of a dictator syndrome. I mean, I think he's certainly, I think, vulnerable to that. There's no doubt about it. But people are afraid of Donald Trump, and international leaders are afraid of Donald Trump. But clip 10 talks about how domestically people are really afraid of Donald Trump and his cabinet picks. Listen to this.
Fox News Digital has exclusively learned that nearly a dozen of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and other appointees tapped for the incoming administration were targeted with, quote, violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These threats prompted a swift law enforcement response.
Wow. Think about that. I mean, a dozen of the cabinet members have had threats. We're going to go to number 7 next, Jerome. We'll do number 7. Okay, so among those was Tom Homan. Now, I'm sorry, among all of the cabinet picks, call me an old-fashioned rootin' tootin' gunsmoke, law and order, okay corral guy. I am so thankful Tom Homan is going to be the border dude. I'm sorry, but that is a strong pick, right? Because Tom is a America first, American sovereignty first. The law is the law. I'm going to be the enforcer. I'm not going to listen to you lily-livered beta male like the mayor of Denver who says, I'm not going to let ICE come in. And if that means I get arrested, so be it. Well, listen to what Tom Homan says, first of all, about the threats to him in that range. Listen.
I think we will see Denverites and folks around the country who will not violently resist that.
Look, me and the Denver mayor, we agree on one thing. He's willing to go to jail. I'm willing to put him in jail.
and the reaction, that was the reaction of, I forget the hostess there on CNN, but it was hilarious. After Homan made it perfectly clear, it's like, fine, he wants to go to jail because he's skirting the law. He wants to continue to protect the likes of the Venezuelan who killed Laken Riley and the others around the country that are wreaking havoc on America's women and other, women and men. But it's so tragic. We keep seeing young girls, women being assaulted, raped, and killed by these idiots. They're animals. They're animals. And now, clip 10, we talked about a dozen people. Clip 7, we talked about that. Now, I just think that it just feels as though there is a new, a new spirit in America. A new air of there is a morning in America. Clip 6 talks about that on CNN. Harry Enton talked about transition approval rating. Now, he compares the approval rating of Donald Trump during his first term to this pre-term. Listen.
Take a look here. President Trump's transition net approval. You go back to November of 2016. Look at this. It was just at plus 1 point. Just at plus 1 point. That is well below the historical norm. Look at where we are today. Significantly higher, plus 18 points. That's 17 points higher on the presidential transition net approval rating.
I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing, right? I mean, you have to think about this in terms of historical perspectives. This was a guy, have we ever had a president try for re-election that was this down and out? How many different indictments? How many different federal and state and local prosecutions going on simultaneously? And the American people finally said enough. The game is up. We get it. This has been the most, I think, un-American. You talk about J6. This has been in one way a large J6, except by a much more powerful group of people. J6, if you want to concede that this was an attempt by a small group of people to overthrow the government, let's just, for sake of argument, say, a couple thousand people, maybe a few hundred of which really intended to hurt Nancy Pelosi, to lynch the vice president. I get that. Let's just concede that. This was an organized conspiracy among federal, state, and local justice officials to put a potential presidential nominee in jail, a past president. And the American people put down that large, slow motion insurrection. There's no other way. And it culminated with an acquittal in November. Is that an overstatement, Jerome?
Not at all. I think what we're seeing is really the lawfare didn't work. And just to truly emphasize why Homan is such a great pick and why I really think that people are trying to get their act together now and that his approvals were going up is I just want to remind people Title 8 of the United States Code 1324 subsection 3 says it is unlawful to harbor, shield, or conceal an unauthorized alien knowingly or in reckless disregard of the fact that the alien has come to, entered, or remains in the United States in violation of law. So people that are like the Denver mayor, like J.B. Pritzker, who Homan beautifully said that's fine, we'll go right through you. People like Gavin Newsom of California, that they're saying that they're going to stand up to Trump and they're going to, we're going to protect our residents. Notice that they don't say citizens. They don't say our people, because nobody that is an American citizen, that legal immigrant, naturally born, whatever the case is, none of those people are at risk of deportation or any sort of action. And yet they are more willing to stand up and violate federal laws that have existed for over 100 years on our books. It's not like Trump came up with this during 2016 and now he's retroactively enforcing it. He is trying to say, look, you guys are our government. It is your job to protect our people, the taxpayers, the citizens of our nation. And the fact that you are more inclined to protect what is essentially a class of people being used as slave labor at best and actively killing our people and smuggling humans and drugs at worst is, I think that really is what people are trying to send the message is we want this. This is America, and we're taking it back at the federal level, at the state level, and at the citizen level.
You're so right. And Americans know the difference between right and wrong. We know the difference between good and evil. We know the difference between law breaking and law abiding. And whether it's the preservation of our Second Amendment rights to defend ourselves, because as you said earlier, Jerome, police realistically, in most instances, can only respond, not and then react, not actually protect at the moment. If they're there in a crowd control situation, yes. But in terms of individual assaults, someone breaking into your home, someone assaulting you, no, obviously you have to defend yourself. Look, there are other common sense things going on. And before we step aside, before we talk to Virginia, I want to give a big shout out to Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Why? This week, 2 big wins. A win for voter ID in Missouri. There was a challenge to the voter ID law. And in fact, he got that to come down in his favor. And so the challenge to voter ID was dismissed and went down to defeat in a Missouri court. And he also won the challenge against the ban on sex change for minors. Remember, last year, that ban said there will not be this so-called gender affirming treatment, whether it's hormones or surgery or both, for minors, period. We're just not going to contribute to this mutilation and this ruination of the vast majority of these kids' lives. A small minority of these kids who are gender confused will go on to, in fact, become trans and do the transsexual thing. Okay, that's fine. But many of them, the vast majority of them, will not. They need standard medical, perhaps pharmaceutical, and talk therapy. And Missouri made a clear stance in the General Assembly last year. The law was clear that we're not going to have it. And that challenge to the ban on sex change for minors by ACLU and a couple of parent groups went down to defeat. So congratulations to the Attorney General's office and Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Again, you're right. It's for common sense. It is just common sense, ladies and gentlemen, and redefining the lanes of proper civil behavior in this greatest nation the planet has ever seen. We'll step aside, come back, and talk to Virginia Kruta on this kickoff weekend of the holiday season. Stay tuned for more on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL, The Tobler Show, with Randy and producer Jerome.
Misinformation, the beaten generation, the beaten generation.
You talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Are you paying to cool or heat the entire neighborhood? Renewal by Andersen can install energy-efficient windows, even sliding doors. Plus, they come with the nation's best warranty. Most other window companies are pushing vinyl windows, which means they expand and contract. What you need to do is visit the website, rbastl.com, rbastl.com, or dial pound 250, and say Windows. Wellington Environmental knows that many are struggling this time of year. Wellington is an advisor to the Salvation Army Gateway Citadel, and they have a way to get more people involved. Bell ringers are really needed, and they have some great spots open in South County. Wellington will help schedule for you. So if you can give an hour, maybe two, this Christmas season, ringing a bell is fun and uplifting. You sign up 6 or more to ring for an hour, Wellington Environmental will make a customized sign on top of the bell, and you can put your family name, your team, your company, all for free. Great opportunity to help out others this Christmas. Contact Wellington, 314-644-4930, 644-4930, or wellingtonstl.com.
This hour, The Randy Tobler Show, is brought to you by the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Request a free portfolio review at clearpathinvesting.com. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer, on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, producer and Thunder Stealer for the Vic Porcelli Show, weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. on News Talk STL. But right now, let's get back to Randy Tobler Show on News Talk STL.
We finally have definitive proof that our common sense suspicions were absolutely correct. It turns out these DEI practices induced hostility, increased authoritarian tendencies, and made people more likely to agree with really, really extreme rhetoric.
Well, that was Colin Wright, and he's been following this crazy DEI thing and how we have just turned biological reality. He's an evolutionary biologist, by the way, and he was on the other day with the Fox folks. And there's no doubt that DEI, I think, is singing its swan song as we are witnessing common sense returning to America. And Virginia Kruta joins us now. And Virginia, it was amazing how New York Times, Bloomberg both squelched this story that was clear that the DEI only has served to create more hostility, more tensions, more division, more of a chasm among Americans. And it's just another example of common sense coming to America very soon under Donald Trump. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Welcome into the program.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too. I think you're right about DEI. Kind of, I think people are realizing just how divisive it's been, but it's not going to go easy because there are people who are invested in this, and we've talked about this before. That people are religious in nature, and I say that not meaning that they all have, a church that they attend or whatever, but if you're a Christian, you know the concept of the God-shaped hole. You're born searching for something that gives your life meaning, and if you sometimes you find that in a church, and if you don't, you find it somewhere else. And so you find it in the Church of Climate, and you see how they hold to these ideas as though they are religious principles. It's very difficult once they've placed their faith in this thing to let it go. And so while we may see structural implementations that get rid of DEI, you're going to see the people who are invested in it are not going to let it go easy. So you're still going to see a lot about it from like the very online set on Twitter or on X, however you want to say it. But like you see things like Walmart dropping DEI programs, in part under threat from Robbie Starbuck because he was going to expose just how far it was going. But if they actually do this, there are going to be large swaths of people, probably including some Walmart employees, who don't like this. And so I don't think, I do think it's on the way out, but I don't think it's going to go out easy, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, and you wrote about that in your Daily Wire piece, where I mean the cultural the blood, the cultural blood that flows through still much of the old legacy media can't let it go. And I mean, Exhibit A is the New York Times, and when they're writing about this San Jose State team with the transgender player on it, and one after another of their opponents are forfeiting because they're causing concussions when he, she, whatever hits the ball and it hits someone, across the other side on the head. And the New York Times can't let it go, right, Virginia?
Well, right. The way they explained it was they were talking about eligibility and whether or not this person should be allowed to play for San Jose State. In the NCAA, they say that in order to be eligible to play on the women's team, you must have a testosterone level of 10 nanomoles per liter. Okay. Now, you may know this as a physician, that the average healthy male testosterone level for an adult is 10 to 35 nanomoles per liter. The average female is less than a quarter of that. So they're saying that a female or a male person who is undergoing female hormones or therapy or whatever, as long as they can get their testosterone level down to 4 times what a female's is, they're allowed to play against females. Which, you could make an argument that is an advantage right there. But the New York Times didn't really say that. They just gave the straight facts, and then they said that it was 4 times. It didn't say it was 4 times that of a woman's testosterone level. It said it was 4 times that of a non-transgender woman's.
Well, and that's what is this non-transgender woman? That's almost as though for them is their normal transgender?
I
don't get it.
Right, exactly. The way it was phrased, it suggested that transgender was the baseline and that non-transgender was the different. And that was what people were angry about. You had tennis legend Martina Navratilova was talking about, hey guys, New York Times, you stink. Like, can we're just women. You stop othering us. And that's, I hate using that phrase, othering of people, but that's what they say when they, if you treat people differently because they're different, then you're othering them. Well, they're doing their level best to other biological women by saying, hey, you guys are the weird ones. Like, no, this is normal. And there was another argument, which I thought was hilarious, between, obviously, J.K. Rowling got in on this one. Somebody was talking about transgenderism and LGBTQ tendencies in American culture, and saying something about how it was kind of new and that people should kind of allow it to permeate worldwide culture. And J.K. Rowling made the comment about, like, there are people all over the world for hundreds of thousands of years, and they didn't need Whitey to tell them there was just man and woman. This is,
I know.
They figured, and it's kind of like when Matt Walsh went to the Maasai tribes in Africa. And he's like, what is a woman? And they're like, what kind of dumbass question was that? Like,
This is crazy, crazy. Hey, on another front, Virginia, I've got to play this clip. People across the media, and I think everyone at the Thanksgiving table was scratching their head when they were thinking about reviewing and playing over and over again this Kamala comes out of the woodwork clip. Take a listen to just a bit of it.
Look, this mission that we have, it takes hard work. But as you've heard me say many times, we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And in doing our work, we will remain committed and intentional about building community, building coalitions, reminding people that we all have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be armed with the faith and the fuel that tells us what is possible, and then drives us to achieve it.
I can't take it anymore. Didn't she learn that this, and didn't her handlers learn that this didn't work during the campaign? They come out, she looks terrible, and people were talking, is she doing something illicit or previously illicit? Is she drinking too much? What were they thinking, Virginia?
Well, I don't think we should expect that just because her campaign is over, Kamala Harris is going to give up on the word salad. I mean, this is what she does. This is what she did before she ran for president. It's what she's going to do for the rest of her political career, should she have one. Speaking of which, they're saying she might run in 2028, and they had a Democrat strategist on Newsmax who's like, please don't. So, like, I don't think that she's going to change just because it didn't work in her 2024 campaign.
I just don't know. I can't imagine that she has any political future.
Who handle her? Well, they're talking about. The thing is, they've polled Democrats, and they don't really blame her for losing. And part of that is the fact that her entire campaign staff did the Pod Save America podcast last week, and they didn't blame her for losing. At no point did they say, maybe we had a subpar candidate. It was all, we didn't have enough time to introduce her to the American people, or the news media told everybody she wouldn't do interviews. I don't know why they did that. Maybe because she wouldn't do interviews, but that's beside the point. They came really close to outright blaming Biden for not dropping out of the race soon enough, but they didn't blame Kamala Harris. And the Democrat Party isn't blaming her. And honestly, it's a lesson I hope they never learn, because if they run her again, especially against somebody like Vance, it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know. Virginia, it's just amazing to me that they continue to blame the American people. It's more of the same. We know what's good. You knuckle dragging, smelly Walmart shopper deplorables, you just don't get it. And they just won't give up. Virginia, we got to run, but I want to thank you for, in this Thanksgiving weekend, just give you thanks for all of the great insights you give us all the time. Look forward to more conversations as the wild, woolly, and common sense world of Donald Trump continues to unfold. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Sure, you too.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, guys. But she's right. If she runs against Vance, it's going to be all over. We'll be back with more on the Randy Tobler Show.
St. Louis's home of the Dan Bongino Show.
Liberals seem to revel in your pain and enjoy it. If you doubt any of this, which you should, doubt is a healthy thing because it only increases the authenticity of the show when you go and back it up and do your own research. Go to True Social or Twitter and just look at the comments by the liberals.
Dan Bongino.
Yeah, you'll get people on the other side who say nasty things too. But I'm telling you, it is way more pervasive on the left.
Weekdays at 11 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for the cleaning pros at Zero Res, the team we trust with keeping our home clean and healthy. And the folks at Zero Res know how important it is to you to have a clean, healthy home this holiday season. And that's why they have this great offer for you right now. Book a cleaning with Zero Res in November and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $75 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
You can't get food like this in Paris. Bring the family for breakfast and brunch to Nadine's Hash House, offering home-style cooked meals the way your mother made them. Try the savory Southside Slinger, the cinnamon streusel pancakes, or Nadine's famous hash. Be sure to follow Nadine's Hash House on Facebook for weekly specials. Open today from 7 to 1:30 in Soulard on Broadway. Nadine's Hash House. You can't get food like this in Paris. Nadine'sHashHouse.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President-elect Donald Trump creating his own National Energy Council.
Its stated purpose is to establish U.S. energy dominance around the world, a key point in Mr. Trump's pledge to sell more domestic oil to allies and to move away from President Joe Biden's focus on climate change. Their mandate will be to cut bureaucratic red tape, to enhance private sector investments and focus on innovation instead of what Mr. Trump deems, quote, totally unnecessary regulation, unquote. George Williams reporting.
Officials in Erie County, New York say there's a risk of extreme lake effect snow in portions of the area. County Executive Mark Palankar says conditions could be life-threatening.
There are going to be wind chills in the single digits over the next 48 hours. The teens are going to be normal. We haven't experienced cold weather yet, so make sure you're prepared. If you're going out, you have to dress accordingly.
Forecasters warn 4 to 6 feet of blowing and drifting snow could fall in Watertown. Senator Tom Cotton says the GOP-controlled Senate committees will hold hearings on Trump cabinet nominees in early January so they can be confirmed immediately after the president is sworn in.
And then we should go right in after President Trump takes his hands off the Bible and gives what I'm sure will be an excellent speech. We should go right back to the Senate chamber and start confirming those nominees.
Senator Cotton interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. There's been another food recall. Here's correspondent Shelley Adler.
The FDA says cucumbers shipped to 13 U.S. states have been recalled because of potential salmonella contamination. Sunfed Produce, based in Arizona, said the questionable cucumbers were sold between October 12th and November 26th. No illnesses were immediately reported. Earlier this summer, a separate salmonella outbreak in cucumbers sickened 450 people in the country. I'm Shelley Adler.
More of these stories at townhall.com.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and...
Hi, Mom. Ooh, it's so cold out there. Surprise, I brought you something.
Socks. Oh, heat holders original. Wow, this is so soft and cozy.
Heat holder socks are the warmest. I use them for snow sports and around the farm. I also bought a bunch for my new work site. The other guys were so jealous they all bought them. And the best part is the socks come in 3 levels of warmth. Originals, lights, and ultralights.
Oh, Jill can use the ultralights when dog walking. Oh, boy. I know what everyone is getting for gifts this holiday.
Heat holder socks are the warmest. An independent lab test proved they're 7 times warmer than cotton socks. We use a proprietary 3-stage process, advanced insulating yarn, a long loop thermal pile, and brushed on the inside. This process helps trap warm air closer to your skin longer, keeping your feet warm, comfortable, and dry, making heat holders the softest, warmest, and most comfortable socks guaranteed. We also have hats, gloves, throws, and so much more. From now until Cyber Monday, use the code HEAT25 to save 25% off your order. Free shipping for orders over $25. Go to heatholders.com.
Retirement planning used to be easy. You put in your 40 years with the company, get the gold watch, and life's good, right? Wrong. Randy Tobler here. Planning for retirement today involves balancing critical decisions regarding your investments, pensions, Social Security, and more. That's why I'm urging you to start planning now. It's also why you should connect with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. They bring a combined 100 years of wealth management experience to help you with your retirement plan. You can hear Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert every Saturday morning at 9 during On the Money here on News Talk STL 1019. Their team is ready to help you design your retirement plan with the care and commitment you deserve. Request your complimentary retirement plan consultation today at clearpathinvesting.com or call 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stiefel Nicholas and Company, Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Looking for that perfect farm fresh flavor? For over 25 years, Anthony's Produce has been St. Peter's favorite harvest destination. Bundle up with our premium firewood delivery service and make your Thanksgiving gathering unforgettable with our gorgeous party platters of fresh fruits and veggies. Wow your guests with Anthony's stunning fruit bouquets and decadent chocolate-covered strawberries. Open year-round daily from 7 to 5, 701 Juggerman Road and at anthonysproduce.com. Anthony's Produce, bringing farm fresh goodness to your table since 1997.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. Randy Tobler. Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
This is Larry Connors. Right now, you're listening to Dr. Randy Tobler. Informative, engaging, enjoy. And I invite you to listen to the Larry Connors USA Daily Report, Monday through Friday at 6.
Hey, well, welcome back into the program. Glad you're with us. Hope you're having a joy-filled and a peaceful kickoff weekend here to Thanksgiving and beyond to the holidays. It's always fun to kick back and find a little time to just, sit down, drink a cup of coffee, enjoy a little leftover pastry or some piece of pie from Thanksgiving, and just hang out with us here and Jerome and I on the program. It's always a good day. And after this, you can stay in tune with Eric and Bob on the Money Show and maybe celebrate some of the great market run that we've seen. Well, we always have fun when we get together with Todd Schowalter. Of course, Todd presides at the Right Mind Show and is a preeminent cartoonist and does fabulous work. I don't know. He's got a mind that I think we all wish we had when we were at those family gatherings trying to have some fun with it all rather than getting real hateful with it all. That can happen, easily. Todd's going to join us here shortly as we talk to him about the cabinet picks. It's very, very important that we have some fun as we look forward to this new morning in America, the common sense America, the golden age of America, as DJT has called it. It's fun to watch I guess just the joy that people are having as they think of maybe if you're a business owner, perhaps you're a manager in a business, perhaps you're a supervisor, maybe you're living on the front line under the constraints of the regulatory state. He's going to get rid of that. And, it's going to be exciting. Todd Schowalter joins us now. How you doing, Todd? Welcome into the program. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, well, happy Thanksgiving to you, too. I hope it was great. I hope the family's still talking. That's how I always measure a family, a get-together, a holiday is, at the end of the evening, if the family is still talking, it was a great holiday.
Yeah, well, we just kept eating. Yeah, as long as you just keep eating, then everyone falls asleep before you can have any too much deep discussion. And also you got to keep the wine and the cocktails flowing. Also a very important component too.
Well, that can backfire too, though, my friend. I mean, that's usually how a lot of the fights start. I always get them taped on my phone. Yeah, I'm glad we survived. And there's more ahead, more fun to be had.
Hey, but are you as excited as I am? Look, when we're doing talk radio, as we, we sort of look over the landscape of what's going on in the country and the world and in our community. I think sometimes it's helpful to just sort of just sort of look at it as a spectator sport, right? I imagine, is that what you do as you're conjuring up the next cartoon, rather than getting so engrossed into the actual, policy weeds, just looking at it as great sport, or is it a both and for you?
No, I got to tell you, I mean, it's kind of intense, to be quite honest with you. I'm pretty much plugged into it 24/7, which doesn't make my wife too happy. But it's kind of hard to actually pull yourself out of it and talk and look at it the way that you're talking about, because you kind of want to. The problem is when you get too entwined in it, you don't. When the cartoon side, at least, you'll do something that doesn't what I call have legs, where the public really doesn't know about it yet. So you do have to wait until it gets to that spectator sport, scenario. But a lot of times that stuff is brewing beforehand. So I try to get in while it's fresh and kind of get some ideas so that by the time it is hot, I already, have an idea for it.
Well, I think it takes a particular kind of genius like you have to.
Oh, well, now wait a minute. Now
you do.
That's an extra 25 cents.
No, you really do. But I'm going to ask you. I'm going to play a little clip from Tom Homan, because you've heard the stories about the death threats to over a dozen of the Trump cabinet and agency nominees. And here was Tom Homan's response to this. And then, is this something you would even tackle, because it does have a very serious nature, or is there a way that you, as a humorist or cartoonist, can make some light out of this and at least show the absurdity of it? Take a listen.
I'll be honest with you. I have not taken it serious up to this point. Now that I know what's happened in the last 24 hours, I will take it a little more serious. But look, I've been dealing with this when I was the ICE director in the first administration. I had numerous death threats. I had a security detail with me all the time. Even after I retired, the death threats continued. And even after I retired as the ICE director, I had U.S. Marshals protection for a long time.
Todd, as a doc, I struggle between laughing at the absurdity of people that will get violent because someone else got elected, but also I feel sorry for them because they're mentally ill. So how does a cartoonist process this reality?
Well, as far as his situation, is very unfortunate, but I got to tell you, Randy, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I talked about it on the show a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I get threats myself, and I've even gotten death threats to the extent through emails. On my cartoons have my website and every one. I'm not shy about anything, and so I'll get emails. I'll get things on social media. I have a couple in particular that are just repeating notorious idiots that do stuff. But you have to understand, like you said, these people are unbalanced, and anybody that would take things to such an extreme, there are a lot of people I disagree with, but not to the point where I want any physical harm on them. But you have to take it serious, but you don't take it serious to the extent where they're really going to go through with it. A lot of these people, I don't even know where they're writing from. But I mean, if you get so hung up on it, a lot of it's like the bully tactic, where they try to intimidate you, where they try to that's how they gain their power. But if you call out the bully or you stand up to the bully, a lot of times they stand down, and you can do that, but they also want you to engage with them. So most of the time what I do is just ignore them, and I've seriously done this. I have my cartoon stickers, Todd Schowalter cartoon stickers, and I'll say thanks for writing. I'll send you a sticker, and then that sends it way over the edge, and then they're about to have their heads explode. And that's out. My gosh, there's a nuclear. You name it, they go crazy then. But so I got my jab in, and then I just don't. I don't even respond after that. But so to answer your question, it is very serious, and I think anybody that's been in that situation, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, well, this is a John Hinckley type of situation, a total nut that's going to show up. But if you let that get into your head, you're not going to do your job. And so you have to put it on the back burner and know it's there, but just not really get too hung up about it.
And, you talk about having a death threat. I remember we were on vacation in COVID. It was our first vacation that we'd been on in a long time, and it had been pre-scheduled. And I had been on CNN saying, as the leader of a hospital, with people threatening to quit in an already understaffed situation if there was a mandated vaccine. Remember that whole thing? We were on vacation, and I get a call from management, the management on the ground that says, we were down in Cancun, and we get a call, hey, we're on lockdown. There's been death threats against you. There's blood on your hands if anyone dies because you didn't get a vaccine or someone, I did get the vaccine, but because someone didn't. I mean, it was crazy. And the cops tracked him down. But I mean, it is real. But by the same token, it's like an other world. It's hard to believe that that's become almost normal in this America. And it's even more astounding, isn't it, that a president who almost was within an inch of being killed publicly on national and international TV is able to withstand that, shrug it off, and triumphantly win handily an election. I mean, it says something to that guy's constitution, doesn't it?
Oh, he's amazing. I mean, and anybody that says, God was not involved isn't really with the program. I mean, it's, I really do. I mean, I think there were some spiritual factors involved. But yeah, you have to be resilient. And I think still going back to the whole bully scenario, I don't know if you remember in school, there was always the bully or the bullies. They're the most insecure, weak people in the room. And they do that because they try to intimidate you. Where if you stand up, or if I'm not saying get physical, but if you pop them in the chin, they're the first ones to back down. And so I think when you realize who they are mentally, and they do have problems. I mean, otherwise, do you think normal people do this? I mean, normal people don't get upset about the silliest things and say you're going to kill somebody. So you have to understand that they are imbalanced. But if that said, and I think Donald Trump does this as well. I mean, I'm sure that he receives a lot more threats than you and I. You have to realize what it is. You got to stand up to them, or you don't do anything at all, and that drives them even more crazy because a lot of times these people just want attention.
We're talking with Todd Schowalter, and Studio Todd is his website. You can hear him here every Saturday 5 to 6 on his program.
The Right Mind Show
Todd,
with Joey V. Yeah,
I know, it's a great show. You guys are hilarious. I'm telling you. All right, now I got to ask you this: you have got to be like a kid in a candy shop with the array of personalities. And I mean, their antics, the childlike Aspergerish Elon Musk, to some serious characters that were turned out to be very right, but the government said they were very wrong in healthcare, with Bhattacharya and Macquarie and the rest of them. So, who are some of your first targets here as you start to think about the nominees for various department heads and agencies? What's going to give you the most material to draw on and have some fun with?
Well, I look at, first of all, I like who he's picked. I mean, there's some questionable things, and you're going to have that with any, new cabinet. But overall, I think it's great. I mean, they're anti-establishment. I mean, they're not like his last term where they were insiders. And so they all seem very knowledgeable in their specific field as far as what they're doing. What I find really, I always look at the irony in things. The left is obviously going crazy, as you knew that they would. But you look at what they had with Biden. I mean, that was like the biggest, mixed fruit bowl of human beings that's ever been put together. Between, you had that bald nuclear person or whatever. You've got the Secretary of Health. Was it Rachel Levine, that guy that dresses up like the Village People Navy captain? So and they're the ones pointing the finger. So that is what I find funny. I think what's great because, again, you look at it, well, now, especially as a political cartoonist, I've had all this free material, to point out all the lunacy going on. But now hopefully, and I think we will, I think we're going to have just a booming economy. I think everything is going to be coming back. So it's I finally have to go back to work again. I got to find the humor in things that, before were just laid in my lap. As far as his particular cabinet goes, there's a lot of fun you can be had just based on their backgrounds. Like, what are they going to bring to it? You've got Elon Musk with SpaceX. Are they going to fire people up into space, that they don't agree with them? There's all kinds of stuff that can happen. But it's like anything. It's a whole new cast of characters that you've got to get used to, and each one's going to have their idiosyncrasy that is going to have their flaws that you can kind of have fun with. But I'm still, getting used to it. But I got to tell you this, Randy, I'm enjoying it. If anybody could say, hey, you could have had free material for another 4 years and watch America go down the toilet, or have, this whole wonderful new future that we're looking at, and you're going to have to really go back to work as a cartoonist again, I'll take what we have, because I don't know about you. This was I've never been more thankful during a Thanksgiving than this Thanksgiving. I mean, between the relief, just the optimism, the hope. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question, but my work is cut out for me, but I'm happy to have it.
Well, I think Robert Kennedy's going to be a good. He'll be interesting, right? I mean, here's a guy 70 years old.
You're right.
He's more buff than a lot of college and high school athletes, right? I don't know if it's the testosterone or if he works out a lot, or I don't know what it is, but. And then you got, what about the wrestling gal, right? Linda McMahon, who's going to be at Department of Education. Certainly there's some, what are we going to have? Like wrestling at the lunchroom instead of wrestling at the Chase? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there,
we're going to have Robert Kennedy and her, they're actually going to go tag team. And so they're going to like go at it. And so that's going to be good. And meanwhile, we're going to have, then he's going to be like the gym teacher too. So we're going to have a lot of, woke, overweight people that have been sitting in their parents' basement doing pull-ups that don't want to do it. And so, I mean, believe me, there's always material. I mean, you just got to look a little harder for it. But it's always going to be there. But you're right. I mean, he's got some real characters. But the thing is, I mean, I try not to be too biased, but it's kind of hard. These are characters I'm kind of excited about, where a lot of the destructive, evil villain characters that we've had for the last 4 years, I didn't like any of those people. So these people, even though they're different and out there like your crazy relatives, at least I like them, so I don't know. There's really none that, Matt Gaetz obviously came with some baggage and he did the right thing and stepped aside. But overall, there's not one of them that I think, I don't really think this is a good pick.
Yeah. And there's no tougher hombre than Tom Homan when it comes to rounding up, getting rid of, and preventing any more entrance from those illegals that have really brought so much carnage.
I know, and why? How could anybody be against that? I love it. I love that he's coming in like the new sheriff. And I was saying, we need a new sheriff in town for a long time, and that's what he's doing. It's great to see him speak his, not be afraid to say what needs to be said. That's right. And he goes. He speaks for what we all know, what we all feel, and that drives the left crazy because you can't do that. You have to go along with our nuttiness, And it's like he says, "No, I'm sorry, the show's over. A new sheriff in town. We're closing the border. We're going to make things happen, and there's a new day for us." And so I love it. So like you said, he's going to get death threats. He's going to get regular threats. But he knows that comes with the territory. And hey, if we're easy, everybody do it,
right? What's coming up on the show today, Todd?
Oh, we got a great time. It's our post-Thanksgiving show. We've got somebody coming in. He's going to be talking about foreign policy with the Trump administration, how things are going to change. That sounds boring, but it's actually very exciting. And then we go to Israel. We're talking to a children's book author that's in Israel that's going to tell us how things are going over there, but also how she's going to try to change this whole thing about turning our kids into woke little wimps, and how she's trying to make a change and get them back to being patriotic.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. It is always great listening. Todd, thanks so much. And man, I love your work. It keeps me chuckling and it keeps me thinking. Thanks, brother. Appreciate you being with me.
Thank you. And I did get you another extra large sweatshirt with your face on it for that picture, I think. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I love you too, man. Get out of here. All right.
See you, Randy. Bye-bye.
All right. We'll see you. Bye-bye. There he is, Todd Schowalter. When we come back, how to navigate the holiday tensions, because they'll exist. They may not be overt. They may not be explicit, but they will be there. You know that. You know who voted for Kamala and who didn't. How are we going to navigate that? And on a more serious note, what about terrorism? It's all around us. And until the sheriffs in town take control, how do we keep an eye out for it? Carole Lieberman joins us, the terrorist therapist, right after this.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
It's time that everybody wake up and pay attention.
Live and local.
Recent criminal indictment of Donald Trump. About the fourth one. The fourth one. The one he got the free gift with. Lunch. I think it's a tote bag.
This is News Talk STL. Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities.
Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now! With Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Craving something twisted, something deliciously different? Philly Pretzel Factory in Baldwin is your ticket to pretzel heaven. We're not just talking regular pretzels. We're talking out-of-this-world pretzel creations and mind-blowing pretzel pizza. Don't get yourself in a knot searching for the perfect snack. We've got party trays, specialty items, assorted pretzel tins, plus our legendary dips. Philly Pretzel Factory in Baldwin. Online at phillypretzelfactory.com.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage. And we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right. It's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
Tim Jones here. I want to tell you about an awesome business located in my hometown of Eureka, Missouri that we use all the time for our exterior homestead needs. Eureka Contracting and Roofing. Veteran owned. They will come to you and schedule a one-on-one consultation. They know that replacing your roof or anything on the exterior of your home is always a really big deal, which is why they've always got a no pressure, no obligation inspection and evaluation. Fully licensed and insured. Nothing but the highest quality of materials made right here in the USA. 636-938-ROOF. 636-938-ROOF. EurekaContracting.com. That's EurekaContracting.com.
Be sure you make an appointment with the doctor, Dr. Johns. Spice things up a little bit. Novelties, lingeries, videos, oils, lube, and more. If you're looking for something out of the ordinary, Dr. Johns has you covered. Your one-stop shop destination to fulfill all your fantasy and add some zing to your love life. 3 locations in Fenton, Farmington, and Wood River. So be sure you make an appointment with the doctor, Dr. Johns, and be sure you tell him News Talk STL sent you.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, Chris Arps here. Have a happy Thanksgiving with your family, and we'll be back Monday with Jim Talent and Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Randy Tobler, Truth Warrior, Woke Destroyer on News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Fox News Digital has exclusively learned that nearly a dozen of President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and other appointees tapped for the incoming administration were targeted with, quote, violent, un-American threats to their lives and those who live with them. These threats prompted a swift law enforcement response.
Well, that was an announcement that, unfortunately, but again, not surprisingly, there are threats, and people's basic instincts and I guess our inner evil comes out when politics rears its ugly head, at least among certain jurisdictions, and the left is going crazy. Crazies on the left are going crazy, threatening Trump cabinet and agency nominees. Well, it's time that we get a little hold of ourselves psychologically and psychiatrically, isn't it? When I think about that, I think of Dr. Carole Lieberman. Of course, she is the terrorist therapist at terroristtherapist.com and an award-winning author. And she's our resident voice of reason when it comes to our sanity. Welcome, Carole. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hey, so that we've seen these viral, I mean, the reaction to the Donald Trump election, we haven't talked to you since that, but the reaction has been across the spectrum from people yelling like banshees on their selfie reels in their car, just screaming, Ellen DeGeneres leaving the country, terrorist death threats against, well, not only Donald Trump, they arrested an Arizonan guy just the other day along that. What does this tell us about the state of our culture, and how does it apply to this holiday season? Family gatherings where some are dyed-in-the-wool progressives and some are dyed-in-the-wool MAGAs. What does it tell you?
Well, it tells me that too many people have drank the Kool-Aid that Kamala was serving, and of course her party. All these horrible things that they were saying about Donald Trump. Now, when Trump ran against Biden, and whoever it was that was voting for Biden, and it's still questionable how many people that actually was. But in any case, however many people voted for Biden, they weren't really voting for Biden. They were voting against Trump. And that's what this year's election was. They were trying to do the same thing. In other words, because they didn't have any good policies or any promises or any plans, that would help make America great again, or, do good for the country. All they were doing was bashing Trump, with the extreme finally calling him Hitler and all of that. And so people, it was very loud, and it was very, people are angry. Before the election, people who are angry about a lot of things. The pandemic really did not have the golden outcome at the end that people were hoping for. There's a lot of financial problems, all kinds of problems. And so when the Democrats didn't really have anything positive to promote, people were eager to, they were angry, so they were easily swayed to just direct their anger towards hating Trump. And of course, in the end, that didn't win, but it made people, it gave a release, it gave a place for people to put their anger.
I just find it amazing the way people have acted out. And as a psychiatrist, I know you have compassion for these people. I mean, as a mental health expert, you know that these people are clearly, there's something terribly wrong. What about kids at Georgetown University that are offered self-care suites with milk and cookies, hot cocoa, yes, Lego toys, coloring and mindfulness exercises? What about the story that came out about the New York Times, the State Department paying for therapy sessions after Trump wins? Is it healthy for our institutions to enable and coddle people having this kind of reaction, or is it unhealthy?
Well, obviously those people who have gone too far over the edge, really do need help. For example, there are women shaving their head and saying they're not going to date men and not going to have sex with men, not going to have babies. There are a lot of people who, I don't know a lot, I really don't know the numbers, too many, who have gone in that direction. And then, there are others who, are just still battling with their friends and so on, like you were mentioning about the holidays. And yes, in colleges, it's sad enough that colleges think that they have to make these rooms, these comfort rooms, for people who are having such a hard time. But now the State Department, this is, you think it can't get any worse. And then the next day you hear about something in the news that is a lot worse. So, it's bad enough that college students are having this hard of a time, or at least they're kind of, it's like peer, they enjoy together, having this crybaby thing, like we're all together, it brings them together. We all hate Trump. We all hate what happened to America in the election and all of that. Okay, that's bad enough. But now we have the State Department, and they've had already at least 2 therapy sessions, group therapy sessions, including one that was a cry session. Just think of this. The State Department employees are having cry sessions over Trump having won. How are they going to do their job? How are they going to carry out anything that Trump wants them to carry out if they are crying and angry? Now, yes, as you were mentioning, as a psychiatrist, of course, I'm all for therapy, any kind for everybody, right? We all could use more. But this is group therapy, and it's paid for by taxpayers. Not if they want to have therapy on their own individually and pay for it on their own, fine, whatever. But this is really, in a group, it's very dangerous, especially if you have a therapist who is going to encourage these people in a very vulnerable state to take some action, because that's the antidote to helplessness, to take some action to change the situation. And so, it's a dangerous, it's putting them together like this is really very dangerous, because they encourage each other to, oh yes, let's stop, let's not do that, and let's not do that, let's quit, well, I don't think they're going to quit, but I think they should be fired, quite frankly, because if this is, first of all, if this is how weak they are, that they can't appreciate an American democratic election, that's one thing. They shouldn't really be in the State Department. They shouldn't be having important jobs. And then, of course, we know, I'm sure you read about or heard about this woman, this psychiatric resident, Dr. Amanda Calhoun. She went on MSNBC and she told people that they should shun family members over the holidays if they voted for Trump.
Yeah.
Now, a psychiatrist, I mean, it's one thing for a host or, a person who isn't a psychiatrist to say whatever. But, this is really, it's essentially malpractice to tell people, because family ties are a lot more important than who became president.
Hey, Doc, you still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're talking, so I get that. Let's talk about that though. When the conversation comes up, even though maybe it shouldn't, and I haven't heard a lot of fallout from Thanksgiving from my sphere of influence, and it didn't happen at our table, but it will. It'll happen whether it's trimming the tree or everyone getting together to make cookies and around the Christmas table. What are some of the best techniques that those of us on the quote winning side can employ if we're trolled, if we're baited, someone's looking for a fight? What's the best way to graciously and in a mentally healthy way diffuse that and keep it from escalating?
Yes. I must say, I was surprised. Now, granted, our experience isn't necessarily what it's like all over, but I was surprised too. I was actually at the home of a dear friend, but who is totally opposite from me politically. And it didn't, and her children, a lot of people, and it didn't come up, which I was very happy about. But yes, I think it's not over. I do think that as time goes by, that people will, when they start seeing some of the things that Trump, is planning to have happen, I think that eventually people will come around, or more people, maybe not everybody, but more people will come around and realize, yes, this was good for America, or this is good for America, and they'll be less angry and less likely to take it out against their friends and family and neighbors and even strangers. But one thing, if it's your house, if you're inviting people to your house, you can do things like put up a sign on your front door and say, no politics here, no talking turkey, only eating turkey. Well, that's for Thanksgiving. We'll pass that, but a lot of people have turkey for Christmas too. But anyhow, and then if around the table, if people start talking politics, they have to put $1 into a jar for the host. You make some kind of fun, like punishment. You can put a chair in a corner, and if you start talking about politics, either any politics, not just against Kamala, but like anything, any political conversation about the election in any case. You could have a chair in the corner for people to have to sit there for 10 minutes. If they do that, you can kind of make it fun. You can also have a stack of cards where you have either other topics to talk about or jokes or, something to sort of dissuade, stop the conversation right at the beginning before it starts in a nice way, in a funny way. So that so that you don't lose friends. But you have to make it clear that you don't really. This isn't the place.
I think that's really brilliant. I mean, because what it reminds me of is facing it on straight ahead, acknowledging that there's a potential problem, but then having some fun with it. Like, yeah, let's maybe have a charity fund for homeless people or for foster kids or something. And you have to put $1 in if you start
Yes.
escalating. I like that. That's good. All right,
Yes.
let's switch gears a little bit, because yesterday we saw a lot of anti-Israel protests pop up on Black Friday. Malls were sort of taken over by these groups. And I think a lot of Americans are still concerned that with the hordes of terrorists and potential terrorists that came in through the Biden years, maybe these people will act out and try to execute their agenda before the new sheriff in town, namely Donald Trump and his people, take over. What are some of the signs that when we're out and about in the mall, at a restaurant, in the town square, what are some of the things to look out as we are having situational awareness? What do we look out for to see that, hey, that guy across the square may be a bad dude getting ready to do something?
Well, this is, I don't think most people realize just how much of a powder keg this all is. There was a positive sign on Thanksgiving, and that was the Thanksgiving parade. There were protesters who blocked the Thanksgiving parade, but there weren't as many as last year, and the police got rid of them quite quickly, arrested them quite quickly. Now, they probably weren't kept in jail, but they were taken away from the parade. So I saw that as a positive sign compared to the year before. Now, as far as what you're talking about, though, in other places, and not just on Thanksgiving or parades, yes, this is gradually, quietly growing, this anti-Semitism, and not just the feeling of anti-Semitism, but how far people are willing to go to carry it out. I mean, it is getting more violent. People are not feeling like they're at risk if they shoot someone who they think is a Jew or attack someone. I mean, there are here and there all over the country, there are these incidents popping up that have gotten violent. It's not just carrying Palestinian flags, and it is just like right before the Holocaust. And we need to, I mean, granted, I think if we can make it till when Trump gets in office, I think, he will do a lot to stop these things, but he can't necessarily stop the sentiment. I mean, this growing sentiment of hating Jews that started in, that's what it was unleashed after October 7th. It didn't really start then. And it's people who are jealous of what they think, that Jews have it better or more successful or whatever. Of course, another thing that's going to help with that is as more people, when Trump gets in and the economy gets better and more people are doing better, that's going to make them feel less like they need a scapegoat. But on the other hand, the war in the Middle East is not stopping. Yes, we have a ceasefire temporarily against Hezbollah. But that isn't lasting. There was already a skirmish across the board that Hezbollah broke the ceasefire. So it's not over, and that is going to be used still as an excuse to people who don't know history, people who don't know. Well, the real thing is the reason at the beginning when there started to be all these protests, it was largely because, first of all, they're learning in school that to just divide the world into people who are the oppressed and people who are the oppressors. And so that has grown, and people are seeing the world in just two kinds of people, whether it's not just with Jews, but like with races and just all different kinds of ways of dividing people. And that has contributed a lot to all of this. And, until the war ends there and perhaps even after, because it's kind of taken on a life of its own, there is going to be all of this anti-Semitism. And, people need to, it can't just be up to the president, I mean, it's not going to be up to Biden. He ain't doing anything to stop it because it's really Obama behind him, and Obama is the most anti-Semitic, anti-Israel president that we've ever had. So they're not going to do anything positive. Yeah. But we need more people speaking out. Not just government. We need more, and not to have counter protests necessarily. I don't see that that's going to help anything. Just two sides fighting in the street. I don't see that. But we need action from like college presidents, and we need people. And I think we're kind of heading. I'd like to believe anyway that we're kind of heading in that way to stop. Mm-hmm. We're having companies stopping DEI, for example, and there seems to be a more positive sort of slant, but it ain't over until the fat lady sings, and nobody's singing yet. So this is a very dangerous situation. Yeah. It needs to be stopped. We need the police to stop it right away. We need the college presidents. We need people of power to stop this right where it's from. And we need, in colleges, before October 7th, the groups, the Palestinian favoring groups, have gotten more and more power on college campuses. That is really the problem, because that's how this was able to explode.
Right. Well, I for one am thankful that you're out there leading the charge for awareness of this, not only in the anti-Semitic realm, but just in general, that somehow if you're unhappy with the political circumstances in your neighborhood, in the country, in your world, that you can just act out and hurt people. And I think it's good to get ahead of it. We've been talking with Dr. Carole Lieberman. She's the terrorist therapist at terroristtherapist.com, and the author of a book that I'd recommend if your kids express some anxiety over what they see, and they can't help but seeing it now that they're exposed to so much of the news cycle. Lions and Tigers and Terrorists, Oh My, How to Protect Your Child in a Time of Terror. A great read to protect our kids' psyches, because they are vulnerable and they're fragile right now. Carole, thank you so much. Appreciate everything you've done for the program. Want to give thanks for that this weekend. Look forward to conversation as we move forward.
Thank you.
Dr. Carole Lieberman. All right, folks, your turn. 314-912-1019 here on News Talk STL 1019-94.1. Let's wrap it up with your thoughts. Did anything interesting, in big air finger quotes, happen at the Thanksgiving table? Let me know. Give me a buzz. Be right back.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the Morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Company, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Tony Colombo here for the Farmers Co-op Old Town Country Store in Old Town St. Peters, where they have a huge selection of products and services for your yard and home, including a full line of lawn and garden products, a full line of products for animal care, and that includes anything from livestock to the family dog or cat. They'll fill any size propane tank for about half the price of a new one, and so much more. Visit them in St. Peters on 2nd Street, right behind the QT at 70 and Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. And check out all their products and services at oldtowncountrystore.com.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. Psst. Want to hear the best kept secret in St. Louis? Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares. According to our customers, we have the best St. Louis style pizza anywhere. And we can't disagree. Dine in, pick up, or delivery at all 3 Steph's Pizza locations. In Lake St. Louis at 111 Potterford Trail, St. Peter's on Juggerman, and in St. Charles on Zumbel. Check us out at Steph'sPizza.com. Steph's Pizza. We're not afraid to compare squares.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
This hour, the Randy Tobler Show, brought to you by Advanced Dentistry Now. Doctors Dan Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Raindrops rolling off my brim. Street lights got the pavement gliss.
It's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and you are listening to Randy Tobler right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Why? Because you're awesome.
And my message to all my friends and my enemies in America is Happy Thanksgiving and stay deplorable, my friend.
We can always count on our friend Senator John Kennedy. He is a real blessing to the rhetorical landscape of Washington, D.C. and this country. I'm telling you, he's like the Will Rogers of our modern Senate, isn't he, Jerome?
Yeah, he's a very, very entertaining person just to watch talk at these events. I'm really getting into him lately, and it's phenomenal.
And you know, Sean Hannity asked him if he planned these little quips, if this is something that he sort of he engineers before he goes on. He said, no, that's just the way God made me. It was a hilarious moment, actually.
Yeah, some people just have that quick wit about them.
Well, I think growing up, he's Louisianan, and I imagine just growing up, that was probably a lot of the banter at the dinner table and around the house, just those kind of things that, you know, he uses them, he drops them. They're in his library of little quotes, and he just drops them around. One thing he was talking at one point on that same interview about what was it? Oh, the elites, and they want to control what we think. And he says, you know, he says they walk around with their little Ziploc bags full of kale for snacks, but he says kale just tastes like it makes me want to be fat.
There's something about Southern folk. I mean, when I moved to Kentucky, there's all sorts of sayings, but one of my favorite ones I heard is this guy was having just a rough day, mental fog. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I got 2 brain cells fighting for 3rd place up there. And I was just like, whoa.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, this has been on my list of sound for a couple of weeks. And I know it's not one of the top things on people's minds, but it just got me to thinking about the way Elon Musk's mind thinks. He's either a beautifully sinister businessman that wants to carve out everyone and says one thing and does another, or he's just a childlike Asperger entrepreneur and inventor who has great vision and is just living life in a carefree way. And certainly wants to make a good buck, and he does. He's the richest man in the world. But he was giving a newsman a tour of his rocket factory and the rocket engines. And did I say engines? Engines. An engine factory is an injury. And so you see all of these, like the exhaust cones at the back end of a rocket sitting around there, and those are the engines, obviously. And they're sitting around on the floor, just like sitting around like pylons on the highway. And this is a little bit of the conversation. And the guy asked him about what he thinks of patents. He said he's making more engines per unit of time than anyone in the world, these rocket engines. And there was a discussion about patents. Listen to what
the
Elon
highest
said.
chamber pressure engine ever done operationally. By any standard, the most advanced engine ever made.
And how quickly can you turn out one of these?
We make them one a day. The most counterintuitive thing is making the rocket out of steel, probably.
Yeah.
We use 300 series stainless steel.
Is that something you patent?
No, we don't really patent things.
Oh, really? No.
I don't care about patents.
Oh, okay.
At Tesla, we open source all our patents. Anyone can use them.
That's what I mean. So
patents are for the weak.
Yeah, you share the. There you go.
And, the problem is, like, patents are generally used as a blocking technique.
Right.
They're like using like landmines in warfare.
Right.
So they don't actually help advance things. They just stop others from following you. And most patents are BS.
I thought, wow.
True.
I mean, yeah, that is true. But you think about what drives up the cost of pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they're protected for different lengths of time, but a brand name pharmaceutical that takes billions of dollars to develop and then to test and to meet the FDA standards. And so the company needs to recover its money. Generics come out and they absolutely destroy the profitability of those brand names. So you wonder how that would work practically, like in the drug industry or in other things that we depend on. We don't depend on rockets, after all.
Well, and the other issue is that there are people that file useful patents that they have no intention of ever using it because it might be a patent for something that would, deplete their own profits. But then what ends up happening off of that is that nobody can use that for, because of the way that our intellectual property law is. So it basically helps them monopolize their competition. And I think that there should be. I'm not sure what the law around the expiration of, but if people are weaponizing patents to stop people from being able to innovate, then I think there should be an expiration date. It's like it hasn't been used in this amount of time, and it should just go back to the public domain.
Reminds me of people that when the whole .com and the internet thing became popular, and obviously everyone had to have a website presence, whether you were brick and mortar or not. And everyone started gobbling up domain names, and then if you wanted to use that domain name, you had to spend like big buku bucks,
Oh yeah, yeah. With
hey, we gotta step aside, man. Look at this. The clock is running out on us. Where did the time go?
It's all gone, my friend. It was a quick one today.
All right. Hey, Jerome, thank you. I want to thank Jerome especially for the great work he does producing this show and staying with me on air, because it is a bit of a madhouse when I'm driving the ship. Let's just call it the way it is. We appreciate all of you, and thank you for listening to the Randy Tobler Show, and hope that you'll stay with us next week and the weeks beyond as we watch what unfolds on this greatest nation the planet has ever seen under that new morning, that golden age of America soon to come. Have a great weekend.
St. Louis's place to talk.
The American people have further lost faith in our governmental institutions.
People can decide what they want and how they want to live.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
As you know, Vincent's is not just my favorite jeweler. Vincent's is my only jeweler. And I was in recently looking at lab-grown diamonds. These are not glass. They are actual diamonds, but they cost a fraction of a natural diamond. You can check them out at Vincents.com, or better yet, see these lab-grown diamonds in person. You're going to be amazed at the beauty and the price. Vincent's Jewelers, VincentsJewelers.com.
For over half a century, Joe Bacardi's has been serving up a little taste of Italy right here in St. Louis. Family owned since 1971, we're more than just a restaurant. We're a local landmark. With 4 convenient locations, we offer something for everyone, from our famous pizzas to mouth-watering entrees and delicious salads. Dine in with a glass of wine or grab a quick carryout. Whether it's